Bodrix. Bodrix has correctly joined the channel.
All right. Well, song was over, so I have to hit play now. Anyways, yes, I'm here. I'm live after what? A while now? I think 2 weeks. Yeah, I couldn't stream last week. Had some stuff going on, but I'm gonna start with the channel, the mini channel update. It's not really a channel update, but it's more like a I mean, it could be a channel update actually, depending on how it plays out. But I'll be doing that. Destiny did this whole like debate thing on his Discord, and I was like, this in-person live thing event, and I decided to sign up for that. So yeah, I'll be flying over to Queens, New York, I guess. I think that's where it's gonna happen, somewhere in Queens. But yeah, live debate, Destiny, me there, and probably a few others, I guess. So that's gonna be fun. I have one debate on my belt, and now I'm stepping up into the ring with Destiny. Yeah, this is not gonna play out well for me. Let's just say that. Confidence level for this debate is next to 0, but I was one to talk to Destiny, so this is like my excuse to, like, I'm not really there to kind of like sway his mind, but I'm more there to understand like his perspective on like why he thinks the way that he thinks. It's like the whole premise of the debate is supposed to be like a anti-Trump tour thing or whatever. So I'm gonna be doing that June 22nd, I think that's the date. On a Sunday. It's gonna be wild. So yeah, that's basically it for the updates. Anyways, let's just go back to what we were doing before, which was literally nothing because it just started. Anyways, we're gonna be watching I mean, a ton of stuff happened. So first things first, the thing I wanted to talk about, but like we're gonna get to other more important stuff probably first, actually. So is it this button? Yes, this button right here. No, actually, I'll just be down here. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, we're gonna be my. I don't know why I call her my favorite feminist just to piss off people, but she is a feminist technically speaking. Like, I don't call her a feminist because I like watching feminists. I call her a feminist because she calls herself a feminist, and I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I'll just call her what she likes to be called. She's reasonable. She's not the stupid purple-haired feminist. She's like first wave or maybe second wave feminism. I don't know how she describes herself with that type of stuff, but she's fair. She's very fair. And we did watch another video with her in it, and she had a good take on Asmongold. As you can see, she talks a lot, but she plays the video with Asmongold in it, and I think Asmongold did a pretty good job with this video. I think this was a really good video for Asmongold to watch, because like I watched the original video and now I'm gonna watch her video. But anyways, I'm rambling. We also got Destiny's court hearing thing. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. That happened a while ago. That was set in queue, and then this is a video that just popped out 3 hours ago. Trump brought Alberto Garcia back from El Salvador. 24 minutes, so I kind of want to do this first because it's only 24 minutes. And the big giant thing in the news with Trump starting a new war. Did not see that one coming. Just gonna tell you right straightforward, did not see that one coming. Actually, no, I kind of saw it because like he was very nice to. But actually, no, I did see this coming because like I thought it was just the funniest thing when everyone didn't want to vote for Kamala because they thought Kamala was gonna be worse for Israel. I'm like, bro, you guys don't pay attention. Trump's base is connected with that place. Holy crap! You guys thought Trump was gonna be better for when it comes to like Israel stuff? Actually, to be fair, I think the Democrats probably would have like done like the same sneaky little thing that they did by feigning ignorance of like not actually being in control of Israel, not actually supporting Israel if they decided to do a war. Like Trump did, like I guess he actually I'm not sure, so I'm not even gonna say that. But yeah, so we're gonna watch this first because there's some cope in this, or there's some really weird perspectives in this. Like, let's just listen to this.
A co-conspirator alleged that the defendant solicited nude photographs and videos of a minor.
Why would you say something like this? Talk about prejudicial.
The reason why he is back and was returned is because it's an arrest warrant.
So you could always bring him back. That's good to know.
Constitutional crisis averted, day saved. It turns out...
Yeah, that's weird. Like in the teaser part of the video, Destiny's like, oh, so you could always bring him back. I'm like, who was saying that you couldn't bring him back? Like, the way he says that implies that he's had a lot of people tell him that, oh, we couldn't, like the main argument was that, oh, we could never bring him back. And I'm like, who told you that? Why the heck did this... Oh, okay, whatever.
Where's Neri?
Anyways.
What?
What? Yeah. I lost my train of thought because something popped up. But yeah. Hey, Wardsenary. I have a question. What is this person? Because I was looking at videos that I want to watch, and I don't know who is this ABL person. The ABL that went on Timcast IRL. Who's that? Or are you referring to the hold up. Where is it? Tim Pool, right? Are you referring to not videos, live? This dude?
Where's Neri? Anthony Brain Logan. Conservative commenter.
Oh, okay. So, not this. Like all the way back. Even more back. There we go. Let me see. Because, I'm not really sure who you're talking about.
Where's Neri? Brian.
Was he? No, he wasn't in the you guys weren't talking about the most recent one. Maybe like 2 days ago? Who is he? What's his face? In all these videos, what's his face? We're gonna do this real quick, and then we'll go back to the actual video. All right, you're taking too long. All right, we're gonna go back to this video. Yeah, I'll I guess send me a link through Discord or whatever of the person, because like I don't know this person, but if you guys find him interesting, maybe I should give him a watch. You know.
Where's
The
Neri?
Trump administration...
Sorry, trying to stop me, Dad, cutting up a box.
Okay. Don't worry. We'll watch this video while you're doing that.
could get him back whenever they wanted, and they were just lying through their teeth. Except
I was gonna make a joke, but you just said it. Yeah. I thought we couldn't get this guy back. I thought he was lost forever.
that it seems, unfortunately, the Trump administration
I don't know who's making that argument, but okay.
only brought him back to try him on some very serious federal charges.
Abrego Garcia has landed in the United States to face justice. On May 21st, a grand jury in the Middle District of Tennessee returned a sealed indictment charging Abrego Garcia with alien smuggling and conspiracy to commit alien smuggling.
Wait, hold up. I want to see. Did Trump say that we couldn't bring him back? I'm gonna look that up on X. Oh no, on Grok. We're gonna make a new one. We're gonna do obviously a deeper search, and we're going to put in. Did Trump or Elon say that they could not bring back Abrego Garcia? That's not how you say its name. So I'm going to boom, copy that, throw it in here. Maybe there was it was implied, but I don't go off of assumptions when it comes to specifics, when it comes to when they say certain things. Trump or Elon say that they could not. Boom, you thinking, and then we'll watch
in violation
this.
of Title 8 USC 1324.
Yes, after months of defying court orders and claiming they just couldn't possibly bring Kilmar back from an Salvadoran torture prison, now the Trump administration is proudly announcing Kilmar's return to U.S. soil so they can pursue human smuggling charges against him. And you know the charges are completely legit because they've rolled out the red carpet, done the media blitz proclaiming that Kilmar is, among other things, a human trafficker, an MS-13 gang member, and even a...
Wait, so you're saying that the U.S. government didn't know that he was doing all of this stuff? beforehand, but then still ended up like, it's not like the U.S. government like just all of a sudden stumbled upon like, oh, there's actually evidence of this guy doing crimes. Like, didn't they like throw them? Didn't they like move them, like ship them off to a different country because they knew that they did crimes and they don't want them here? But then there's like, I guess, a big backlash, and then they start bringing them back. I'm like, oh look, guys, see, we brought your guy back. Your criminal back. Are you happy now, Democrats? And now everyone's like, oh look, but I thought you said you were lying. You said you couldn't bring him back. And that's why I'm like, who? Clarifying request. The request, okay, could not bring him back, though Trump himself acknowledged he could but chose not to. Oh wait, which one is it? It seems likely that Donald Trump, the Donald Trump's administration stated they could not bring back this guy, though Trump himself acknowledged that he could but chose not to. So which one is it? That Trump said that he couldn't, or did Trump state that he acknowledged that he could but chose not to? Which one is it? There's no evidence of Elon Musk made any statements about bringing that. All right, Trump's statements, Elon's involvement. Let's just throw this over here. Play
Trump's
this.
statements. Donald Trump's administration, during legal proceedings, argued that they lacked the ability to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to the United States due to his custody in El Salvador. However, in public interviews, such as one with ABC News on April 29, 2025, Trump personally acknowledged he could facilitate Garcia's return, but refused, citing reasons like believing Garcia was a gang member. This creates some complexity, as official statements from his administration contrast with his personal remarks. Elon Musk's involvement. Research suggests Elon Musk did not make any...
Elon didn't really have anything to do with it, so... I mean, we just read it. But yeah, look at that. Wow, look at that. So I guess Destiny's just getting that information. I guess Destiny just believes lies. Yeah, he just believes lies. And this guy also believes lies, because apparently Trump said that he could, but chose not to. But I guess that means that they couldn't. Okay. All right, Destiny. All right, people. That's why this is only 24 minutes, because this is obviously just, well, the R word.
Well, now, with this announcement with its barrage of unproven smears.
Violation of Title 8 USC 1324.
Yes, after months of defying court orders and claiming they just couldn't possibly bring Kilmar back from an Salvadoran Corsa prison, now the Trump administration is proudly announcing Kilmar's return to U.S. soil so they can pursue human smuggling charges against him. And you know the charges are completely legit because they've rolled out the red carpet, done the media blitz proclaiming that Kilmar is, among other things, a human trafficker, an MS-13 gang member, and even a file. Now, with this announcement with its...
All right, I've claimed the video. Let's see, what is this?
Live. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and you're watching and/or listening to
this
ABL
guy.
Live.
Okay.
barrage of unproven smears, and we'll talk about that too, comes just in the nick of time for the administration, which was
Dropped you a link.
Mm-hmm.
facing potential sanctions in a Maryland civil case filed by Kilmar and his family. Now, as you may recall, Kilmar Abrego Garcia was born in El Salvador. After being threatened for several years by the Barrio 18 gang, Kilmar fled his home country and joined his brother.
Oh, too slow. Winky face.
No worries. I am fast, and also there's a delay, so it's not really your fault.
In Maryland. In 2019, he was picked up in an ice sting outside of a Hyattsville, Maryland Home Depot. Law enforcement claimed that an informant and identified Kilmar as a member of MS-13, but no actual charges were ever filed, and Kilmar's immigration proceedings resulted not in a deportation, but instead in a withholding of...
How do you survive a
Oh my
plane
god,
crash?
I was like, wait a second. I was like, I thought I had this at 1.5 speed, but no, it's at normal speed. So Destiny, you need to chill your thing down. Come on now.
Just sit in seat 11A.
removal order, which, because he had demonstrated a credible fear for his life, barred Kilmar's removal to El Salvador specifically. Now,
oh yeah, he's referring to the Indian, the tragic event where this Indian airline just Indian airline recent crash. And apparently there was only one survivor that they found so far, but this happened literally like yesterday. So yeah, that's what he's referring to. That's what the chatter is referring to.
Now, after his release from immigration detention, and identified Kilmar as a member of MS-13, but no actual charges were ever filed, and Kilmar's immigration proceedings resulted not in a deportation, but instead in a
was
withholding.
flying to Heathrow, UK.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't really want to talk too much about it because there's this pilot mentor guy. Here, I'll shout this guy out. He has nothing to do with political anything, but he has nothing to do with anything political. But he does. I think he does a really good job at like doing pilot aviation stuff. Pilot mentor. Yeah, this guy. I like watching his stuff. Like I enjoy watching his content when I go to sleep. It's like super long. Talks about air crashes. Does a real good story on it. Like really good production. Yeah, he deserves a shout out. Nothing to do with political anything nonsense. So like, hopefully this doesn't backfire on him. But like, I think he does a good job. But he did like a live stream like the day after talking about the situation, and they tried to talk about. I didn't really watch it too much, but he avoids speculating on things that he shouldn't speculate on, because then it will come off as like, because like he's an authority, and because like he's literally a pilot, a guy that does teach people to do pilot stuff, to become an aviator, I guess that's what you call them. But yeah.
How do you survive a plane crash? Just sit in seat 11A.
Removal order, which, because he demonstrated
that's where this
fear for his
comment
life,
comes
barred
from.
Kilmar's removal to El Salvador specifically. Now, after his release from immigration detention, Kilmar returned to his life in Maryland, had a child with his wife, helped his wife raise her two other children, and was employed as a sheet metal worker. But on March 12, 2025, Kilmar was driving home with his 5-year-old son when he was pulled over by immigration officers. They arrested him with
Oh yeah, I guess we just completely forget about the whole domestic charge that the wife put onto the husband, but then like dropped it years later. I guess we're just gonna forget that part. Yeah, we're gonna talk about all the nice things that this guy did, but completely forget about the whole part where he gets like a whole restraining order put against him. But and then rescinded. So it was
the
rescinded.
wife beat him.
Yeah, we just forget about that. That didn't happen. Domestic violence? Nah, there was no charges. No one brought anything up. Like that just didn't happen.
without explanation and threatened to have social services pick up his son if his wife didn't arrive.
Like, this is just the manipulative nonsense worldview that these guys have.
My typing is terrible today.
It's all right. I can read it because I am also part dyslexic. But yeah, like this is the type of worldview they live in. Like, first they live in a delusional world where, like, apparently someone in Trump's sphere said that they could never bring him back, but Trump literally acknowledged that he could return him but refused to do it. Yeah, apparently that, yeah, okay. So I don't know where Destiny's getting that information from. And then secondly, now we're just going to pretend that there is no domestic violence abuses charges or allegations or anything brought up ever about this guy. We're just going to talk about all the nice things about this guy, Abrego Garcia guy. Yeah, we're just going to completely ignore that. Maybe they might say it later.
10 minutes.
I'm only literally like a minute and 30. I'm only a minute into the video.
Whisked off to ICE detention and, with no due process whatsoever, was sent for an indefinite stay in a torture prison in El Salvador, the very country a judge had expressly forbidden the U.S. government from sending him to. Kilmar's wife, Jennifer, had no idea where he was until someone sent her a picture of the inmates in El Salvador's notorious...
Also, the reason why the U.S. government sent them back to a place where he couldn't go back to, because it is true that he couldn't go back to, he couldn't be deported back to El Salvador because that's where he was from. The reason he couldn't go back was because MS-13, the gang, was running that entire like place, but the government of El Salvador finally eradicated them. So now that's why the U.S. government was able to send them back. But we're just gonna pretend that nuance doesn't exist because Legal Eagle does he just does propaganda at this point. Like he's smart enough to omit information and only talk about the negative. And I mean, he's a lawyer. So like, he's going to do these scummy lawyer
Where's Neri?
things.
He'd be nice and safe in prison there.
Yeah, because especially since the whole reason why he couldn't go there has been eradicated. Like, at least in that country, for the most part. Like, they're all gone. But, all right.
Seacott prison, and she recognized her husband.
I just don't like the omitting of the information that the Legal Eagle guy was doing. But Destiny's eating it up because he loves this worldview. This is where he lives. This is what he lives in.
In the photo. Now, as we talk about, Seacott has a well-documented history of human rights abuses, including torture, overcrowding, and death at the hands of guards and other inmates. Yet the Trump administration has putatively paid $6 million in a contract that no one has seen yet to El Salvador to house deportees, including...
Also, notice how he's not saying anything. Like, he's saying all this stuff, but Destiny disagrees. He sees the manipulation. Like, Destiny's smart to see that, but he's just not going to say it because he likes what he's saying.
Many who had never been convicted of any crime in Sikot under the watchful eye of Bukele, the dictator of El Salvador. Trump and Bukele both bragged about this arrangement on social media, on the news, and in fact, even in the White House.
How can I return him to the United States? I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do first? I'm not going to do it.
Trump even publicly raised the possibility of sending Americans, homegrowns as he called them, to Sikot.
We also have homegrown criminals that push people into subways, that hit elderly ladies on the back of the head with a baseball bat when they're not looking, that are absolute monsters. I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country.
And Bukele has seemed excited about the idea of getting paid to violate the rights of American citizens. Meanwhile, Abrego Garcia's wife, Jennifer, filed a suit against the Trump administration. In several court filings, the Trump administration admitted that it had sent Abrego Garcia to El Salvador in error, but the administration still refused to bring Kilmar back. After Maryland Federal Judge Paul Azinas granted a temporary restraining order directing the Trump administration to, quote, facilitate Kilmar's return, the Trump administration went on the offensive and resurrected a slew of unproven accusations that Abrego Garcia was a member of the MS-13 gang, and even went so far as to Photoshop a picture of Abrego Garcia's hand tattoos with clearly non-original lettering of MS-13. They touted some old restraining orders that his wife had filed against him, and most important here, they unearthed the story of a time he'd been pulled over by law enforcement in Tennessee and questioned because he was driving from Texas to Maryland with several other immigrants, and the administration used that stop to imply that
Oh yeah, there was a blunder on Trump's part.
been pulled over by law enforcement in Tennessee and questioned because he was driving from Texas. Restraining orders that his wife had filed against him, and most important here, they unearthed the story of a time he'd been pulled over by law enforcement in Tennessee and questioned because he was driving from Texas to Maryland with several other immigrants, and the administration used that stop to imply that Kilmar was a human trafficker. Now, some of those accusations
Okay, no. Where is it?
just still refused to bring Kilmar back. After Maryland Federal Judge Paul administration admitted that it had sent Abrego Garcia to El Salvador in error, but the administration still refused to bring Kilmar back. After Maryland Federal Judge Paul Azinas granted a temporary restraining order directing the Trump administration to, quote, facilitate Kilmar's return, the Trump administration went on the offensive and resurrected a slew of unproven accusations that Abrego Garcia was a member of the MS-13 gang, and even went so far as to Photoshop
Okay, yeah. So Trump thought this was a Trump thought this was a real like the M, the S, the 1, the 3. Trump actually thought that these letters weren't like Photoshopped. Like these things were literally printed on his finger, just like how these tattoos were printed on his finger. Like I think Trump literally thought that, or that's a bad faith argument. A much more good faith argument is that Trump saw this thinking that, oh, this is what the symbols mean. When he saw the Photoshop, Trump believed that these symbols actually meant, like, this meant M, this meant S, this meant 1, and this meant 3, like, just by the symbols. Not sure how these would be
Worse, Neri.
symbolic, but
I still think he was trolling.
Trump. I almost want to argue that he's unintentionally trolling, but that sounds like a cope on my part. I think Trump just made a little bit of a blunder. Like, I mean, but it's a fair blunder. Like, someone brings him a picture, he shows him this information. Like, he gets, like, Trump isn't super smart, so he's gonna defer to other people at some point. So, like, someone that he thinks is credible brings him this picture and then shows him the MS-13 on top, like obviously like photoshopped onto it, and Trump would be like, oh, so that's what these things mean, and the guy's like, yes, these things mean these symbols on top. That's why there's a tattoo here on his fist. That's what these symbols mean. And Trump's gonna be like, oh, okay, then obviously that means he's a part of the gang, and then he's just going to believe it. Like, Trump would be the one to just believe this. But honestly, most people would just like, if someone from if a police officer comes to you, shows you a picture of this, and then you're like, oh, so if you see anyone, have you ever seen anyone with these tattoos? And these what these tattoos are meant. Like, are you gonna like second guess the police officer and be like, oh, actually, no, you're wrong. This is not what those symbols mean. Like, you've never seen this in your life. Like, come on now. Trump has never seen this in his life. Except until now. Now he's like, oh, let me just like defer to this. Maybe he might have, but I'm not sure.
A picture of Abrego Garcia's hand tattoos with clearly non-original lettering of MS-13. They touted some old restraining orders that his wife had filed against him, and most important here, they unearthed the story of a time he'd been pulled over by law enforcement in Tennessee and questioned because he was driving from Texas to Maryland with several other immigrants, and the administration used that stop to imply that Kilmar was a human trafficker. Now, some of those accusations may be true, but we can't be sure which ones because Kilmar was never tried in court. The government has never had to meet its burden of proof, and no judge or jury has ever considered the evidence and made a finding. The administration's accusations were—
Oh yeah, imagine if you made that same argument one with Trump and the whole like what was it called? Like, all these things could be true, but we'll never know because we haven't tried them. Yeah, okay. So the immunity ruling. So some of these things, you know, they tried them, but we don't know if these claims against Trump will ever be true because they haven't tried them because of the immunity ruling. Like, oh, like, are you just going to defer to being like it's so slimy? It's so slimy. The word games these lawyers do. This legal eagle person is really, Destiny loves this guy. Destiny loves this guy.
Or just that, they were accusations, and without due process, there was no way to evaluate their veracity.
But like, the arguments that he would use, he would never use for Trump, in defense for Trump. He would only use these arguments in, like, if it's going to attack Trump. Because I think this legal eagle guy doesn't like Trump at all. I think, because the type of arguments that he's been making, or maybe he's just a really, really, really good lawyer, which I think it's a little bit of both, not going to lie.
In addition to the PR, the Trump administration also appealed Judge Zinus's order to the Supreme Court, which issued a unanimous decision affirming that the administration had to, quote, facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to the United States. Though oddly, Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller apparently read an entirely different Supreme Court decision and declared this a victory for the White House.
In our favor.
In our favor, against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States.
And around the same time, Trump and Bukele, who had a meeting at the White House, had jaunty back and forth talking about how they couldn't possibly return Abrego Garcia to the United States.
The question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
But meanwhile, Judge Zinus was growing increasingly weary of these antics and ordered the
I mean, if you saw the full clip, like, the question was, are you going to, like, send them back? Are you going to send back this this guy that did crimes in the that allegedly did crimes in the United States back to the United States? Are you going to do that without the permission of without the permission of the president of the United States? Like, are you going to do that? And that's why he responded in that way. He's like, how, what, you want me to smuggle him back into the United States? Like, are you crazy? What? That's wild. So, like, yes, like, I find that very interesting how it's clipped like that. But Destiny loves this propaganda.
Administration give regular status updates about what steps it was taking to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return. But the administration did not take this order.
What? Where is she from? I don't like this last name. It makes me seem like she's an alien. That X letter is a very spooky letter.
In order the administration.
What is the background? Where does this name come from? Xenix? Zenus? She sounds like a Scientologist.
To give regular status updates about what steps it was taking to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return. But the administration did not take this order particularly seriously. The Trump administration filed a series of uninformative so-called status updates, which basically amounted to thumbing their noses at the court. But in response to this recalcitrance after a contentious hearing, the judge granted...
Also, I think Donald Trump made Destiny become a conspiracy theorist. Like, true.
The plaintiff's request for expedited discovery. But not surprisingly, the administration immediately appealed, asking for a stay of the judge's discovery order. But the Court of Appeals denied the request for a stay, and the government was left in the uncomfortable position of having to provide Judge Zinus with evidence that it was complying with the law, which it seemed clear they were not. Meanwhile, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen paid Abrego Garcia a visit in El Salvador. But after several characteristically anemic status reports, plaintiffs filed a motion claiming that the Trump administration wasn't engaging in discovery in good faith. Defendants objected to plaintiff's discovery request, arguing that the timeline for discovery was too fast.
In good faith, like, on, like, what, who?
Discovery requests were based on
whose good faith? Like, okay.
The false premise that the United States can or has been ordered to facilitate Abrego Garcia's release from custody in El Salvador, and claiming that the material was privileged. But the judge wasn't having it and took the Trump administration to task for its continued non-compliance, stating that, quote, defendants and their counsel well know that the falsehood lies not in any supposed premise, but in their continued mischaracterization of the Supreme Court's order. Defendants' objection reflects a willful bad faith refusal to comply with discovery obligations. And she found the defendants' privilege claims equally specious and their complaints about the timeline unconvincing because, quote, for weeks defendants have sought refuge behind vague and unsubstantiated assertions of privilege, using them as a shield to obstruct discovery and evade compliance with this court's orders. But she directed plaintiffs to narrow their interrogatories and ordered defendants to actually answer. Now, over the next month, the parties continued to fight over the
in other words, that they played legal games, you guys lost. Good one.
Discovery and the adequacy of the Trump administration's responses. But because of the administration's continual recalcitrance in this case, including, according to plaintiffs, discovery deficiencies.
We're recounting all of this. What is the point of this video? They're trying to charge him with a bunch of shit. I guess he gets to that eventually.
Consistent delays and refusal to reply properly to interrogatories.
Oh, is Destiny not buying everything that this guy is saying? Or it's just so much confirmation bias that Destiny's like, yeah, like, we're just going over things that we talked about. Like, why are we watching
Where's Neri?
this?
Fly to help non-citizens, but back the riots in LA. Odd moves Dems.
Yeah, I mean, it's just known that they're hypocrites.
Plaintiffs asked Zinus permission to file a motion for sanctions. And on June 4th, after months of uncooperative behavior, the judge...
Also, but a more good faith response to that would be towards the Dems is a more fair response, which would ideally be good faith, would be because there's a lot of different factions in the Dems right now. A lot of different factions that have very vastly different end goals, but they still call themselves Democrats. Just like how it's very nuanced on the MAGA coalition or the right. Like the right is filled with the MAGA coalition, the anti-Trumpers, the never Trumpers.
Where's Neri? Because
the
they are
centrists.
monsters. Winky face.
Maybe they might also have some scales too. You know, you don't know.
judge granted the plaintiffs permission to move forward with their motion for sanctions. Now,
but my whole point is that there's nuance on both sides. Just to be a bit fair to the Dems. They are kind of hypocritical, but it's because there's multi-factions that still call themselves, that are still underneath the umbrella of Dems, you know?
Meanwhile, the Trump administration tried to get the entire lawsuit dismissed, claiming that Judge Zenas and the Maryland District Court lacked jurisdiction. While that motion to dismiss was still pending and plaintiffs were busy drafting their motion for sanctions, the Trump administration made the surprise announcement that, amazingly, Abrego Garcia had been returned to the United States. Now, if you've been renditioned to a foreign country and then inexplicably brought back to the United States only to face federal charges, you're probably going to want a good lawyer. But if you want a great lawyer, my law firm, the Eagle Team, can help. If you've got in a car crash,
oh my God, is the Eagle Team defending him?
Suffered a data breach. And by the way, we don't get paid. Team.
Wow.
This court, surprise of everyone, in a one-page notice filed with the court on June 6th, the Trump administration informed the court that, quote, on April 4th, 2025, this court ordered defendants to facilitate the return of plaintiff Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia to the United States. Defendants hereby provide notice that they have complied with the court's order and indeed have successfully facilitated Abrego Garcia's return. As the Attorney General recently announced, Abrego Garcia was returned to the United States today to stand trial on criminal charges in the Middle District of Tennessee. So the administration then argued that the judge's order should be dissolved and the entire case should be dismissed as moot. In the meantime, the administration requested a stay on all case proceedings, including discovery. So it turns out that despite the Trump administration's repeated protestations and statements to the court, they actually were capable of bringing Abrego Garcia back. Or as the plaintiffs put it in their June 8th motion asking...
Again, like I said, Trump said that he just didn't want to bring him back. Like, he said that they could. They literally said oh my God. Trump administration argued that they lacked the ability to burn due to his blah blah. However, in public interviews, such as whatever this is, Trump personally acknowledged that he could facilitate Garcia's return, but refused. It's almost like he literally said that he could do it, but didn't want to. Wow. Who's saying that they couldn't? Who is saying that they couldn't? See the little stupid word games that these lawyers do. It's so disgusting. Because like saying that they couldn't means that, oh, they were lying the entire time when Trump wasn't lying. He just said he didn't want to do it. like come on.
The court to continue to allow discovery and potential sanctions, quote, two things are now crystal clear. First, the government has always had the ability to return Abrego Garcia, but it simply refused to do so.
That's what he said in an interview. What? This is not some new information. This is so stupid. This is so stupid. Wow.
Second, the government has conducted a determined stalling campaign to stave off contempt sanctions long enough to concoct a politically face-saving exit from its own predicament. And obviously, the face-saving exit the plaintiffs are referring to is the Trump administration's decision to bring Abrego Garcia back to the United States. But
like, see, he just wraps in a nice little bow. This manipulative. First, he does, for the first 5 minutes of the entire video, says a lot of bullshit, and then, well, a lot of it's not all BS, like a lot of semantical word games, let's just call it that. Not technically lies, but omitting a lot of information. And then right now he just wrapped it into a nice little bow, where it's like, oh, but guess what? Now they're saying, actually, we could always bring him back, but we just didn't want to. When Trump literally said that during an interview, wait, April 29, 2025. So that was like, what? It's June now. And this video, wait, when did this video come out? I'm watching, I mean, this video came out 3 hours ago, but I don't know when this video came out. So depending on when this video came out, I don't know. I'm gonna assume that it was relatively recent, but yeah, that's just, I don't like the word games. It's stupid.
Only after the Department of Justice had indicted him for charges relating to a 2022 traffic stop.
Like, they basically just made Trump look like a liar when he said that. Like, he acknowledged that. He literally said that he could, but didn't want to. But now they're going to pretend that now Trump is saying that after the fact, when Trump probably said that before they brought him back. Like, it's just a little, I don't like it. It just, this is not a fair characterization of like what the administration did. And that's the thing that bothers me, because everyone keeps doing this. And then everyone's like, oh, why do you keep defending Trump? Then stop doing this stupid nonsense. Actually be fair. Like, good faith exists, right? But I forget, he's a lawyer, so like he's gonna do his lawyery stuff.
In Tennessee. So let's talk about that incident. Here's what we know so far. On December 1st, 2022, Abrego Garcia was pulled over for speeding in a vehicle with 8 passengers and told police that he
This is why lawyers have a bad name.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? I would if someone did something really bad, they would want this guy. They would definitely want this guy. He could definitely win your case, even if you did it. Like that's how good this guy is.
Texas several days earlier, and were traveling to Maryland to do construction work.
It's a very good business model. He has a very good business model.
The police officers who stopped him speculated that he might be transporting people for money because there was no luggage in the vehicle, but they decided not to ticket or charge Abrego Garcia. Instead, they sent him on with a warning. And so it's this incident that appears to form the basis of the federal charges that have been filed against Abrego Garcia. And on June 6th, we finally learned what those were when the Trump Department of Justice asked for the unsealing of a shocking May 21st grand jury indictment against Abrego Garcia. So first a note on grand juries. A grand jury trial is not a regular criminal trial. It is, in most criminal cases, the precursor to a criminal trial, during which the prosecutor presents a group of randomly selected jurors with the prosecutor's potential arguments against a defendant. It's how the charges get formalized. In an actual criminal trial, the defendant would have an attorney, an opportunity to present witnesses and arguments in their defense, and the ability to confront the witnesses against them. But in a grand jury proceeding, the defendant and his attorneys cannot be present to refute or even hear the evidence or witness testimony. And grand juries can also consider evidence like hearsay that would not be admissible in a criminal trial. In a criminal trial, the prosecution must prove beyond reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. And in a grand jury trial, the prosecutor must only prove that there is probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed and that the person being investigated was the person who committed it. And obviously, grand juries do not convict people. They simply recommend whether a prosecutor should launch a criminal trial against that person. And grand jury proceedings are not adversarial proceedings where both sides can present evidence. They are one-sided proceedings where only the prosecutor gets to present their case, which is why grand juries have often been criticized as a rubber stamp for prosecutors. But sometimes, as is the case here, a grand jury says there's not even enough evidence for one particular charge or others. And that acts as a sort of veto against the charges even before a case has been filed. And in this previously sealed grand jury indictment, the Department of Justice alleged that Abrego Garcia's 2022 trip through Tennessee was one of more than 100 human trafficking trips that Abrego Garcia made as part of a years-long conspiracy. Now, obviously, anytime we deal with an indictment, these are merely accusations from the government. They are so far unproven. But according to the government's filings in the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Tennessee, the government alleges from 2016 to 2025, Abrego Garcia conspired with several other unnamed non-citizens to transport thousands of undocumented immigrants from South and Central American countries into the United States. The government alleges that Abrego Garcia's co-conspirators helped the immigrants illegally cross the border into Texas. Then Abrego Garcia and other drivers were paid to transport the undocumented immigrants to other parts of the United States. And according to the indictment, both Abrego Garcia and many of the people he transported were members of the MS-13 gang. The government is also alleging that Abrego Garcia and his co-conspirators transported people, including children, in unsafe ways in makeshift seats and in the floors of vehicles, and that Abrego Garcia himself had abused some of the women he had transported. And the indictment also mentioned that one of Abrego Garcia's supposed co-conspirators was involved in a 2021 incident where a tractor trailer carrying migrants overturned in Mexico and caused more than...
I'm just curious, actually. Where is this indictment? Okay. From in or around 2016 through in or around 2025, Armando Abrego Garcia and others known and unknown to the grand jury conspired to bring undocumented aliens to the United States from countries such as Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Ecuador.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Good. Okay, so here's a +1 for Destiny. He actually decided to look this up. Wow. Good one. Thank you, Destiny. Hold up. Oh, well, guess I won't be able to change that. That's fine. Let me just load this thing up because it's going to delete my performance on my OBS, but it's fine. It's fine. Only had like one misframe.
And elsewhere, ultimately passing through Mexico before crossing into Texas. The co-conspirators knew the undocumented aliens did not possess authorization to enter the United States.
Oh yeah, but +1 for Destiny because he's actually looking into this now. It's better late than never, but okay.
This was issued from a U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Tennessee, which is where Legal Eagle said that he was being charged at. And then these are the 4 laws that they are charging him for infractions under. Garcia and co-conspirators from El Salvador, blah, 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 and elsewhere communicated with each other using cell phones and social media applications to facilitate the unlawful transportation of undocumented aliens. Garcia and co-conspirators collected financial payments from undocumented aliens for illegal transportation. Unnamed co-conspirators 1 through 5 were co-conspirators with Garcia, citizens of El Salvador. They were not U.S. citizens. Blah, blah. Citizen was also a member and associate of the transnational criminal organization La Mara Salvatrucha, also known and hereinafter referred to as MS-13. Criminal enterprise, Garcia used his status in MS-13 to further his criminal activity over the course of the conspiracy. The co-conspirators knowingly and unfollowed transported thousands of undocumented aliens who had no authorization to be present in the U.S. Okay, count 1, conspiracy to transport aliens. Garcia did combine, conspire, confederate, and agree with co-conspirators 1 through 6 to knowingly and in reckless disregard of the fact that certain aliens had come to, enter, and remain in the U.S. violation of transport and move said aliens within the U.S. by means of transportation, otherwise in further such violation of law, with intent to further the unlawful presence of the aliens in the U.S. for private financial gain in violation of Title 8. 1324 USC. Is this Title 8? Yeah, okay. I'm curious what this requires. A1, A2. A1, A. any person who, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of the law, transports or moves or attempts to transport or move such alien within the United States by means of transportation or otherwise in furtherance of such violation of the law. Does this charge mean that if you drive somebody around who's an illegal immigrant, you're guilty of it? Is that what this means? Oof. Okay. A2 and B1. Any conveyance, including any...
It does sound over-encompassing, but like, hey, just don't drive around illegal immigrants. Come on now.
Vessel, vehicle, or aircraft.
But if you're unknowingly, that's the thing that's scary. If it's unknowingly, like the person deceived you and you end up driving them around anyways, you're still an accomplice and you're still going to get like a manslaughter type of slap on the wrist for doing that type of stuff. So you need to be a little bit more aware and do a little bit more due diligence if you're unaware. Because, well, you should just do your due diligence. Don't drive around people you don't know, essentially.
That has been or is being used in the commission of a violation of subsection A, the gross proceeds of such violation and any property traceable to such conveyance or proceeds shall be seized and subject to forfeiture. Any conveyance, so like your car basically, and any money earned has to be given back to the government or is seized. Okay, spooky. Is that really a criminal charge? I'm just curious, if I have a person that I know in the United States, I know they're an undocumented person or an illegal immigrant, and I drive them around, could I be charged with this? Is this a crime you could be charged with? Or are there other elements here that I'm not aware of? Knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come to, entered, or remains in the U.S. in violation of law, transports or moves or attempts to transport or move such alien within the U.S.
Damn, this is wild. Destiny's finally realizing that this could be something that he could be guilty of. I mean, I'm just kidding, but like, kind of half kidding. Maybe he might be thinking this. Maybe he might not be. But yes, Destiny. Yes, there's some laws in the books that could make you a criminal that you may disagree with. Sounds like you're finally realizing some of the things that that the law could be bad sometimes. Interesting.
By means of transportation or otherwise, in furtherance of such violation of the law. In furtherance of such violation, does that mean that you're moving them with the explicit purpose of just, like, I wonder what this part means here, what the case law, A2 and B1. I think I did read the wrong B1. It's this here, I think. The capitalization matters. Any person who violates subparagraph A for each alien in respect of such violation occurs in the case of violation of subparagraph A1 or in which the offense was done for the purpose of commercial advantage or private financial gain. Be fine. Okay, yeah. This, I think, was the other one they were calling it. Agreed to work together to transport undocumented aliens for profit and private financial gain. How would they ever prove that you knew they were illegal? I mean, depending on what devices they have, I imagine that could be really easy, right? Like if you were illegal, somebody saying something along the lines of like, oh,
tap and gotcha for life.
Huh. Cool.
Like the cops are coming, like I gotta get out, or like some stuff like that. I feel like that actually fairly easy to prove, probably, right? Undocumented else would illegally cross the U.S. border. Garcia and CC1 ordinarily picked up the undocumented aliens in the Houston, Texas area shortly after the aliens had unlawfully crossed the southern border of the U.S. Garcia and CC1 then transported the undocumented aliens from Texas to other parts of the U.S. and to further aliens' unlawful presence in the U.S. Okay, so this is like coyote stuff, kind of.
Kind of? Okay, Destiny.
Yeah, Kafka. Technically, the reckless...
Like, you're just coping at this point. Oh, it's like coyote stuff, kind of. Nowadays, they actually... This is wild. The guy that this Destiny was defending this entire time and is saying, oh, look, this poor guy got deported to El Salvador. Now he's, like, looking into, like, oh, wait. So these charges, I know we were just defending this guy and we were, like, acting like we need to give so much sympathy to this guy. But, you know, it kind of sounds like he's doing some coyote stuff, you know? I don't know. It's wild that he's now looking into, he just realized that he was like not supporting, but like defending this guy, a guy that could be actually trafficking people. Maybe, could be, allegedly.
Listeners there means that you wouldn't need to know, but you should know. But I transporting the undocumented aliens from Texas to other parts of the U.S. and to further aliens' unlawful presence in the U.S. Okay. So this is like coyote stuff, kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah, Kafka. Technically,
let the cope commence.
This there means that you wouldn't need to know, but you should know. But I feel like you could prove even a higher thing than reckless. I feel like that'd be pretty arbitrarily easy to prove. But my girlfriend's Mexican family openly talk about the illegals and coyotes they know. Yeah, I imagine it's probably people just, you know. or whatever. During the course of the conspiracy, CC1 was incarcerated for alien smuggling, was deported from the U.S. During that period.
Oh yeah, let's just ignore the part where he actually did do criminal stuff. Yeah, ignore all that stuff.
And simultaneously transported.
And then this is an indictment. So the guy got indicted. Wasn't Destiny saying that indictments are like these terrible things because like Trump got so many of them? Like, and now he's like, oh, it's just an indictment. We only heard it once. And now there's like, okay, I guess we should read this because we read into Trump's indictments, right? So we should read into this. Now he's like, oh man, this stuff looks kind of bad. Yeah, we're just going to like skim through the really terrible part because it does like make him look really bad. But I guess indictments don't really mean much anymore. All this is about Trump.
Firearms illegally purchased in Texas for distribution or resale in Maryland. Garcia, occasionally someone is transported on undocumented aliens and narcotics.
How much you want to bet that Destiny, after reading all this, Destiny's going to be like, you know, maybe the government's lying about this indictment. Oh, bro, if he does that.
In Texas for distribution and resale in Maryland. Sounds like they don't really put any evidence in the indictment, so. And they also.
Oh, there's no evidence in the indictment. All right, so all those indictments that Trump got, there was no evidence in those indictments. Like, I know I just read a bunch of stuff and a lot of claims about what they put in the indictment about Trump, but like, they put no evidence in there. So like, you know, it probably isn't like something like big, right? Right, Destiny? Like, this is such a stupid, he would never accept this argument of, it's not even like an argument. He's just claiming these stupid things because he just disagrees with the indictment. Like, oh wait, what like why would you even say that to imply, like, when he says that, he's implying that he's denigrating the credibility of the indictment by saying that, which he would never do when he was talking about Trump, when he was doing all those when he was reading all those indictments, how like this is like a terrible thing that the government's claiming about Trump, like like he basically took it at face value. But now when this is claiming all these things in an indictment, he's like, well, there's no actual evidence in this. It's just claims. So we don't know. Like, he's just coping.
Also include Garcia a lot with other co-conspirators.
Let me go back a little bit.
Garcia, occasionally someone is transported on undocumented aliens and narcotics purchased in Texas for distribution and resale in Maryland. Sounds like they don't really put any evidence in the indictment, so. And they also include Garcia a lot with other co-conspirators. Like, this is a pretty crazy one. Garcia, CC1 and CC2 transported undocumented aliens in an unsafe manner, including using reconfigured vehicles with aftermarket unattached seating rows, and they transported children on the floorboards of vehicles in order to maximize profits.
Yeah, so is that like not evidence, or are you just going to write it off as like, oh, government's just saying this, doesn't mean that actually happened, even though it's very descriptive on the specific things that they were doing, but like, it's just a claim at this point. So there's no, like, how is he going to like cope with this one?
But they're always including like other co-conspirators in these claims. This is about the traffic stop. Okay. Damn, this will be a crazy court case.
50 deaths. And based on these allegations.
Okay, it's just a crazy court case, guys. All those Trump indictments, we need to read them thoroughly. We need to make all these claims and accusations, and we need to believe the government when Biden was in office. Like, what? This is wild.
Allegations the government indicted Abrego Garcia on 2 counts from 8 U.S.C.
I love the hypocrisy on this. It's just it's so sweet. It's so nectar, because like everything that he said about Trump before, easily just write them off. Like look. He's like, oh, these indictments are like a big deal. And now he's like, oh, wait, actually, well, when Trump was getting indictment, like he would read all this stuff and did all that research. And he's like, well, when that was happening, that was a big deal when Trump was getting indicted. But this Abrego Garcia guy getting an indictment back in, wait, when did that indictment happen? Wasn't that happened a while ago? That was years ago. Either the end of Trump's presidency, the first term, or in the beginning of Biden's presidency. I think like one of those happened. Or maybe this was super recent. I'm not sure. But anyways, like it's funny how like indictments are great and should be taken seriously until I guess it's about a person that you actually defended. Come on now, Destiny.
24, a conspiracy to transport aliens and unlawful transportation of undocumented aliens. The first section creates criminal liability for anyone who, quote, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, transports or moves or attempts to transport or move such alien within the United States by means of transportation or otherwise in furtherance of such violation of law. So to make its case, the DOJ will have to prove that Abrego Garcia transported or attempted to transport illegal aliens within the United States, and also that he either knew or recklessly disregarded the fact that they were in the United States illegally. Now, in the indictment, the government highlighted the fact that Abrego Garcia supposedly received compensation for this work, as Pam Bondi has claimed it was his, quote, full-time job. The DOJ is probably emphasizing the financial aspects of the accusations, because under the law, if Abrego Garcia was financially compensated for transporting undocumented immigrants, that would allow the prosecution to pursue a stiffer sentence. Now, we don't yet know what evidence the government has in support of these allegations. We'll have to reserve judgment until we see that evidence. But I will say, it is awfully convenient that they've suddenly found all of these horrendous accusations relating to the seemingly random guy that just became the flashpoint for this entire international snafu. Which leads me to be more than a little
seemingly random guy. The seemingly random guy that you guys harped on. Like, bro, the administration made an error in like deporting this guy with everyone, and you guys made a big fuss about it, and now you guys are mad that people are talking about it now when you guys were the one that made it such a big deal. Like, what are you saying? That's so wild. Hold up, that's so wild. You guys made it a big deal, and now you're like, oh, well, this random guy is now the center of attention. What do you mean? You guys like testing legally, like all you guys were talking about how like, oh, the Trump administration made this major blunder, major mistake. Like, Trump was the one that said this. The Trump administration was the one, like, if anything, Trump was trying to keep this underneath the rug. You guys were the ones shouting it out. And now it's like, oh, like, why are we talking about this guy? That doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Like, what do you... That's okay. The switching of the realities in this. It's so like, why? That's so wild. Let me go back a little bit.
Pursue a stiffer sentence. Now, we don't yet know what evidence the government has in support of these allegations. We'll have to reserve judgment until we see that evidence. But I will say, it is awfully convenient that they've suddenly found all of these horrendous accusations relating to the seemingly random guy that just became the flashpoint for this entire international snafu. Which leads me to be more than a little skeptical about these accusations. Now, the Trump DOJ has also filed a motion for detention, asking the court to hold Abrego Garcia in pretrial custody instead of releasing him on bail pending trial. In support of that argument that Abrego Garcia is a danger to the community and should not be released, the government dropped a few more bombs in both its motion and Attorney General Pam Bondi's announcement, which are not part of the indictment, claiming that Abrego Garcia had also transported firearms and drugs, that he was responsible for the murder of a rival gang member's mother in El Salvador, and that he solicited naked pictures from a minor. But Abrego Garcia has not been indicted on either of those claims. No evidence has been offered to support them, and not even the grand...
Wait, was that in there? Wait, hold on, did I miss that? 1 second.
Pictures from a minor. Transported firearms, its motion, and Attorney General Pam Bondi's announcement, which are not part of the indictment, claiming that Abrego Garcia had also transported firearms.
Oh, this is like an announcement or something of the... Okay. If convicted at trial, the defendant faces maximum 10 years for each alien he transported accordingly. Sentence. The grand jury alleges, among other troubling facts, that defendant 1 smuggled thousands of undocumented aliens through the United States. 2 is a member and associate of MS-13, a foreign terrorist organization. 3 transported numerous transported children. Okay. Abused undocumented alien females under his control while transporting them through the United States and trafficked.
Yeah, honestly, he sounds great. He sounds amazing. Let him go. If only if he was in that what is that thing? That Frozen movie or something? Let him go.
Firearms and narcotics from Texas to Maryland on multiple occasions. Joke. The evidence the defendant committed the offenses charged in the indictment is overwhelming. Additional evidence that the government has uncovered as part of its investigation discussed further below. Regarding the defendant's past violence and attempted solicitation of child pornography. That wasn't in the indictment. Okay.
And drugs, that he was responsible for the murder of a rival gang member's mother in El Salvador, and that he solicited naked pictures from a minor. But Abrego Garcia has not been indicted on either of those claims. No evidence has been offered to support them, and not...
Semantics. I'm just going to call it out as semantics. Maybe they didn't find any actually legit evidence of that, so they probably didn't put it in the indictment because, well, they couldn't win him on that case. So that was just it's almost like they're picky, like Destiny's trying to make it seem like, oh, look, see, it's kind of fishy that they're not putting this terrible claim that they had in this other report into the indictment. Like, that kind of sounds like that the indictment is kind of bad. Like, oh, look, see, there's some fishy nonsense going on here. Like the conspiracy theory is like kind of wild how he's just doing it now. when he was ragging on conservatives, being like, "Oh, conservatives all they do is conspiracy theories. All they do is conspiracy theories." And now look at him. Look what he's doing right now. Like, bro. But another interpretation of like why they didn't put that information in there is probably when they did the indictment, they probably didn't find enough evidence to put that in the indictment, so they didn't mention in the indictment. Like, is that like, that's like the simple solution? But I guess let's just pretend that they're trying to cover something up or something. Like, this is just stupid.
Even the grand jury considered them. Now, putting aside the salaciousness of these new allegations, it's worth mentioning just how unbelievably improper it is for the sitting attorney general to make these prejudicial statements about a criminal defendant who is actively being prosecuted by the Department of Justice. The Trump administration's campaign to smear Abrego Garcia in the media is itself a breach of norms and potentially prosecutorial ethics. In past, federal, state, and local prosecutors from both political parties have generally only publicly accused defendants of crimes for which a grand jury indicted them. Discussing other potential crimes has long been regarded as an abuse of prosecutorial power, risking obvious unfair harm to defendants' reputations. And according to NBC News, a former senior Justice Department official who requested anonymity citing fears of retaliation said that Bondi often speaks as a partisan Trump loyalist, not as a neutral law enforcement.
Yeah, you don't say, huh?
An officer. Yeah, dude, we have TVs and eyes. We can see it. But additionally, according to an ABC News report, concerns about the Trump administration's behavior in the Abrego Garcia case may have led to the resignation of Ben Schrader, the chief of the criminal...
What did she... Hold up. Let me go back.
Fears of retaliation said that Bondi often speaks as a partisan Trump. Crimes has long been regarded as an abuse of prosecutorial power, risking obvious unfair harm to defendants' reputations. And according to NBC News, a former senior Justice Department official who requested anonymity citing fears of retaliation said that Bondi often speaks as a partisan Trump loyalist, not as a neutral law enforcement.
Don't they do that Trump all the freaking time?
Yeah, like the Pan Bondi person, isn't she like the speaker or something? Like she's just like the whole thing that it's kind of what, like, do they not understand that that's literally her role? Her role is to say all the good things about what the administration is doing. Like literally that didn't that lady underneath Biden, what do you call them? Biden speaker. Yeah. She did the same thing. It's funny how I just say Biden speaker and it comes up. It's funny. Like literally, her job is to make propaganda in support of the White House. Yeah, that's literally her job. They did it. And now because they don't like Pan Bondi.
Where's
like,
Neri? Bondi is the Attorney General.
Attorney General. Yeah. Yep. Just like, oh wait. Is she just like this? Is she just like this person? American political advisor who served as the White House press. No, this is a different person. Press secretary. Wait, hold up. Wait, oh, I could just say Biden's Attorney General.
Here's information
Where's
from
Neri?
en.wikipedia.org.
No, she's the chief law.
Oh, okay. All right, so I got them mixed up. Okay. I mean, good on Trump. He's actually bringing people that won't backstab him. So, just like how the first administration, everyone was like, oh, Trump didn't do anything in his first administration. Well, it's because he had a lot of people that ended up backstabbing him. Like, come on now. and now Destiny's so mad that Trump got wised up and started actually bringing in people that actually would support him and not backstab him. Wow. What a surprise.
Yeah, you don't say, huh?
An officer. Yeah,
wait, let me go back.
Discussing other potential crimes has long been regarded as an abuse of prosecutorial power, risking obvious unfair harm to defendants' reputations. And according to NBC News, a former senior Justice Department official who requested anonymity citing fears of retaliation said that Bondi often speaks as a partisan Trump loyalist, not as a neutral law enforcement.
Yeah, you don't say, huh?
An officer. Yeah, dude, we have TVs and eyes. We can see it. But additionally, according to an ABC News report, concerns about the Trump administration's behavior...
I can see why they think it's problematic, but honestly, I don't care. Like you guys had your guys doing your things, and now we have our guys doing what they want to do. So guess what? Tables have turned.
in the Abrego Garcia case may have led to the resignation of Ben Schrader, the chief of the criminal division of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Nashville. Sources briefed on Schrader's decision told ABC News that Schrader's resignation was prompted by concerns that the case against Abrego Garcia was being pursued for political reasons. Mr. Schrader did not directly address the speculation, but in a pointed LinkedIn post, he stated, quote, earlier today...
Since when did we care about being pursued for political reasons? Like, did like the whole, like what, the all those Trump indictments, they were not politically motivated at all? Like, for political reasons, they didn't do all that stuff? Like, Trump didn't get like a whole... wasn't indicted like 3,000 times before he was gonna like run for office, like because like he didn't just get like all of a sudden a bunch of indictments after he stated that he's going to still run for the 2024 2025 office like thing. Like, did that not like happen? Oh, for political, like is that like a big deal now, doing things for political reasons? Wow, okay, all right, good one.
After nearly 15 years as an assistant U.S. attorney, I resigned as chief of the criminal division at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Tennessee. It has been an incredible privilege to serve as a prosecutor with the Department of Justice, where the only job description I've ever known...
Why did you resign? He should have made a stronger statement. Meh.
...is to do the right thing in the right way for the right reasons. So yet again, a career prosecutor with the DOJ resigned rather than move forward with these criminal charges. So I think at this point we can move from being skeptical about the government's charges against Abrego Garcia to just assuming that they're BS. But still, at least this time he's getting due process.
Okay.
A jury will decide whether the charges against him actually stand up in a criminal court. But already there appear to be some factual disputes in the government's findings, including inconsistent statements about whether Abrego Garcia told Tennessee police that he was coming from Missouri or Texas. None of these supposed witnesses mentioned in the indictment are named. Many of them appear to be convicted criminals who may have had incentives to be jailhouse informants. And an ABC News report indicates that one of the informants is currently serving a sentence in Alabama for illegally re-entering the United States. All these factors will have to be considered by an actual jury, and all these witnesses will have to be available for cross-examination and scrutiny. Though, as Abrego Garcia's attorney has pointed out, this still isn't true justice because, quote, true justice means the chance to defend yourself before you're punished, not after. Meanwhile, President Trump has claimed that he thinks the administration has, quote, a very easy case against Abrego Garcia, which sort of raises the question, if it was so easy, why not prosecute him earlier instead of making the politically controversial and unconstitutional decision to whisk him off to a torture prison without due process? And for the time being...
Almost like they thought that he did a terrible thing and didn't want to deal with it because like that was like the whole rationale. We didn't want to prosecute people here because it cost more money to do it here instead of shipping them off. Like, but now you guys are making it such a big deal and now they bring him back and now you're wondering like, oh wait, if this was such a big deal, why didn't you guys prosecute him first and then bring them back? Because like because you guys didn't make it a big deal back then. But now that you guys did make it a big deal, we're going to bring him back. And now you're like pretending that this is some sort of like own or gotcha or like this is just so stupid. Just use your brain for 2 seconds.
The case before Judge Zenas is still alive. The plaintiffs have asked the judge to continue to hold on to her jurisdiction over the case, to order discovery against the Trump administration, and to consider their motion for sanctions. And regardless of the outcome of Abrego Garcia's criminal trial and civil case, the constitutional problems still remain because dozens of other men are still being held in the Salvadoran torture prison without trial or recourse. As Representative Jamie Raskin pointed out, quote, they obviously want to make this about whether or not he ends up being a good guy or a bad guy, but it's not a moral question. It's a legal question. It's a constitutional question of whether the government can pick people up and take them out of the country.
This is towards the end of Bondi's announcement where she finishes what the grand jury found and then went into the hearsay.
The defendant abused undocumented alien females, according to co-conspirators who were under his control.
Wait a second. Attorney General Pam Bondi announces charges against... Well, hold up. I want to know. I want to see something. Hold up. Hold the phone. We're going to... Biden's Attorney General speaking.
Procedures and policies of the department. Mr. Herr has a long and distinguished career as a prosecutor. In 2003, he joined the department's criminal division, where he worked on counterterrorism, corporate fraud, and appellate matters. From 2007 until 2014, Mr. Herr served as an assistant U.S. attorney for the District of Maryland, where he prosecuted matters ranging from violent crime to financial fraud. In 2017, Mr. Herr rejoined the department as the Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General. In 2018, he was nominated and confirmed to serve as a U.S. attorney for the District of Maryland. As U.S. attorney, he supervised some of the department's more important national security, public corruption, and other high-profile matters. I will ensure that Mr. Herr receives all the resources he needs to conduct his work. As I have said before, I strongly believe that the normal processes of this department can handle all investigations with integrity. But under the regulations, the extraordinary circumstances here require the appointment of a special counsel for this matter. This appointment underscores for the public the department's commitment to both independence and accountability in particularly sensitive matters, and to making decisions indisputably guided only by the facts and the law. I am confident that Mr. Herr will carry out his responsibility in an even-handed and urgent manner and in accordance with the highest traditions of this department. Thank you all.
An extraordinary turn of events here. Attorney General Merrick Garland just moments ago saying it is in the public's interest to appoint a special counsel now to look into classified documents discovered in at least 2 locations involving President Biden. These documents, of course, taken from the administration after he served as vice president with then President Obama. At first, U.S. Attorney John
Yeah, okay. So they did that special counsel thing, but then didn't the judge rule that they found evidence, but due to the lack of mental facilities in Biden's brain, that he could not have possibly have actually committed a crime because he was too mentally inept to actually too far gone mentally to actually come up with anything? Isn't that what the special counsel that they got up said? Okay, all right, so he does speak. Because this Pan Bondi, I'm the reason I looked it up because this Pan Bondi person, she talks so much, she talks so much that I mistaken her as just the White House secretary thing. I thought she was her. I thought she was her. But in the Trump's administration, but because she speaks so much.
While transporting them throughout our country.
Why would you say something like this? Talk about prejudicial. Why would you say something like this?
Wait, what is he talking about?
End of Bondi's announcement, where she finishes what the grand jury found and then went into the hearsay.
The defendant abused undocumented alien females, according to co-conspirators, who were under his control while transporting them throughout our country.
Why would you say something like this? Talk about prejudicial. Why would you say something like this? Even if that was in the indictment, I don't know how proper it is to announce stuff like this. Even if it was in the indictment, unless you're just reading the indictment down, maybe. But this wasn't even included in the indictment. Why the f would she say this? It's insanely improper.
What? So okay, yeah. I mean, obviously I can just ignore this whole comment because his big claim here is that it's improper. Oh, scary. It's improper. Shut the fuck up.
Defendant trafficked.
I give a shit what he thinks is improper or not. That's your ultimate claim here. That's why you stopped the video. Okay.
Firearms and narcotics throughout our country on multiple occasions. They were using vehicles, SUVs, with added seats in the back, floors that had been ripped out, guns, narcotics, children, women.
This was in the indictment, at least.
MS-13 members. That is what the grand jury found. A co-conspirator alleged that the defendant solicited nude.
The grand jury, to be clear, the grand jury is basically what you're using for a charging document here.
So he's playing semantic games. Oh, so since she didn't say it word for word, therefore every other word that wasn't actually in the indictment, actually technically she didn't say it word for word. So what she was saying wasn't even in the indictment. But everything else around those words.
Caroline Leavitt is the press secretary, blonde as well, winky face.
Oh, is that the reason why I got them? I probably wait. Oh. wait. I got them mixed up.
Alleged that the defendant solicited nude.
The grand jury, to be clear, the grand jury is basically what you're using for a charging document here. The grand jury only has to believe that there is probable cause, which is one of the lowest standards of evidence. That's what you need to arrest somebody. It's just probable cause, not anything else.
Photographs and videos of a minor. A co-conspirator.
This was not in the indictment either, so I don't know why she's going off on this.
A co-conspirator alleged that the defendant solicited nude photographs and videos of.
She's going off in an allegation. That's why she's talking about this.
Oh, but it's improper to go off of allegation.
Shut up.
A minor. A co-conspirator also alleges the defendant played a role in the murder of a rival gang member's mother. These facts demonstrate Abrego Garcia is a danger to our community. We want to thank the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, our state and local partners, our acting U.S. Attorney Robert McGuire, and prosecutors from the Joint Task Force, Vulcan. Questions?
Attorney General.
This was 6 days ago, but.
The traffic stop that we've seen video of from Tennessee, where Abrego Garcia was first identified by the local authorities. At the time, the Homeland Security Department declined to take custody of him. What has happened in between that time and in between the time that the government has been arguing that he was not returnable from El Salvador? What has happened since in this investigation that brought you here?
Yes, the question was in 2021, there was the traffic stop. And what has changed since then? What has changed is Donald Trump is now president of the United States and our borders are again secure. And thanks to the bright light that has been shined on Abrego Garcia, this investigation continued with actually amazing police work. And we were able to track this case and stop this international smuggling ring from continuing.
These were recently found facts, right?
Isn't like every illegal smuggling ring going to be international to some extent? Otherwise, it wouldn't be illegal immigrants, right?
Recently found facts.
At that point, can you just explain when this investigation was opened? The investigation in Tennessee, can you say when that investigation was opened?
Well, the grand jury indicted on May 21st.
That's not, you're not answering any question, but okay.
This investigation has been ongoing.
No, okay.
It's been hotly debated here in Washington. In your mind, does this resolve that issue in terms of his deportation? And should this be seen in any way as complying with the judge's order to return him to the U.S. and the Supreme Court ruling that the U.S. government should facilitate return?
There's a big difference between what the state of play was before the indictment and after the indictment. And so the reason why he is back and was returned was because of an arrest warrant, which was presented to the government in El Salvador. So there's a big difference there. As far as whether it makes the ongoing...
Oh, so you could always bring him back. That's good to know. We said that in the very beginning, but okay.
Litigation in...
Donald Trump's administration, during legal proceedings, argued that they lacked the ability to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to the United States due to his custody in El Salvador. However, in public interviews, such as one with ABC News on April 29, 2025, Trump personally acknowledged he could facilitate Garcia's return, but refused, citing reasons like believing Garcia was a gang.
In Maryland, moot. Was returned was because of an arrest warrant, which was presented to the government in El Salvador. So there's a big difference there. As far as whether it makes the ongoing...
Oh, so you could always bring him back. That's good to know. We said that in the very beginning, but okay.
Litigation in Maryland moot? I would think so, but we don't know about this. He just landed today.
Jake, CBS. I just want to confirm what you said earlier, that you're intending to prosecute him and keep him in an American prison if he's found guilty, and then would remove him after his sentence is over.
Correct. Yes, he will be prosecuted in our country, sentenced in our country if convicted, and then returned after completion of his sentence.
Last one, Sadie, Wall Street Journal.
Okay. I have two. One's on topic, one's off topic. Maybe I misunderstood you, but you were mentioning, that he had some involvement in a murder, or was connected to groups that had, involved in this other smuggling ring. But to be clear, the only charges he's facing right now are the human smuggling charges, just that's the one offense. But the other things that you have talked about are not actually in the indictment.
No, co-conspirators allege that, and we were clear to say that he's charged with, it's not only very serious charges of alien smuggling.
Why are you bringing up what co-conspirators said, you stupid piece of shit?
And again, there were children involved in that. Human trafficking, not only in our country, but in our world, is very, very real. It's very dangerous. And as you saw recently in Virginia, the arrest we made of the MS-13 member, unrelated to this, we learned at that press conference, that's where they bring young children into our country and they start grooming them at middle school age to become MS-13 full-fledged members, commit violent crimes throughout our country. It is highly organized. It is very dangerous. And they are living throughout our country, but no more, because they are being arrested, they are being prosecuted and being convicted and deported when appropriate.
I feel like there should be a different... I feel like...
I can't spell for the life of me. Holy crap. Based soundboard. No. Whatever. Who cares?
We need two different words for shipping around illegal aliens, because when somebody says trafficking, at least in my mind, I associate trafficking with against somebody's will, like this person's being trafficked. But I think legally and colloquially, well, this admin, like if I were to be in Mexico and I'm a Mexican, I'm like, I want to illegally immigrate to the US, I sell a bunch of shit and I pay some dude who's like, can you ship me over the border? Like, let's fucking do it. And then I do it, and I'm like consenting the whole time. I'm paying some guy and doing it. I'm also being like trafficked, I think. People also consider that trafficking. I don't know, it feels kind of a weird conflation of, well, it's not even a conflation. I think that you can use the same word for both, but I mean, it feels different, right? I don't know.
That's all for today. Thank you.
about to get a very, very, very. It was really brutal. Oh my God! Even the lawyer. Oh, Zip, do you remember when the judge asked the lawyer? He was like, "Oh my God, I'm so, dude, I almost started crying in court because this lawyer made me feel so." I always get like really scared for the upcoming court stuff because it kind of seems like things are really, really, really fucked. And every time there's like a hearing or a judge input, it's like somebody's about to get a very, very, very brutal reality check. I'm either way too off in my understanding of what's going on, or they're completely off in their understanding. And yeah, I would say the hearing this morning was very brutal. The plaintiff had to like take a 10-minute cry break at like halfway through her testimony. I think my feeling is they were getting very frustrated, but. Oh, Zip. Oh my God. And I have another person who was there. Andrew looked at me and he was like, I'm pretty sure that's a public person. That's either one of your fans or one of your haters for you in the back. Zip was in the courtroom today. Dude. Did you catch when Andrew told me to calm down? All of us were so happy because, oh my God. It's so funny. I had this exact same convo with, I don't want to reveal her identity. I'll just say LS. And one of the things we were kind of vibing with is that she said that she felt like really crazy over stuff related to her ex, and that going to family court was like one of the best things ever, because to hear a judge with all the evidence before them just obviously like saying like this is really this person is clearly or obviously in the wrong, she said was like a very gratifying feeling. And I related as well because of the judge input on the last hearing that they did. And can you go full screen? Sure. And then this one was very much the same. Yeah, okay, so Zip 45 was there, so he can say if I'm making shit up. But to hear the, who's Andrew, my lawyer, to hear the judge asking like what I would consider to be the most obvious questions, and he was, oh God, I'm just so paranoid that like I'm gonna start, that just something's gonna happen. I'm just not like understanding, or I'm getting like way too, I don't wanna say overconfident or whatever, or that like I'm not understanding what's going on, but what did the judge tell you to calm down? No, the judge didn't tell me to calm down. Andrew told me to chill. I was just very, 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 very happy. I was so relieved because the judge started asking. The judge just had so many good lines of question. I'm like, yes, thank God. Like I would write a note to Andrew, and then the guy to the left of me would write a note, and he would go to pass it over, and I noticed it was basically the same note. And then before like either of us would pass it over to Andrew for his cross, like the judge would just like ask the question basically like, yes, thank God. Like, because there's a lot of there's just a lot of public commentary about this where people that they obviously hate me, but the hatred of me is like clouding their judgment over reasonable things. So like a few lines of questioning, and like in my mind, I'm like, this is so obvious, right? Like it's so obvious. And this is a line of thought that's been carried from Justicle's dipshit stream to Kiwi Farms, where it's like, oh, like if Destiny sends this video to anybody else, he should know it's foreseeable. Obviously, it's obviously foreseeable that it's going to be published on the internet. And obviously, me and the other lawyer like writing notes. And like, wait, how could you even? And then the judge is like, well, hold on. And you're like, didn't plaintiff do exactly that? And they were like, well, that's different because it involved. It's like, but she also did it with her boyfriend at the time as well, right? And they were like, yeah. And the judge shut down so many lines of questioning. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Oh, I don't feel like a lunatic. It feels, oh my God, I felt so sane by the end of the questioning. Holy shit. Oh my God, and one of the most brutal lines of questioning where Zip came from the judge, when the judge had to ask like 3 times when Doe was on the scene, was like, do you have any evidence at all that this happened within statute range? And then it was like, well, somebody messaged me whose sister said that they messaged me, but then they deleted their. It's like, okay, no. Is there any evidence past that? Any strong? And it's like,
all right. I wanna. There was some things that I wanted to say because like I couldn't speak for a little
Maybe
while.
I misunderstood you, but you were mentioning that he had some involvement in a murder, or was connected to groups that had involved in this other smuggling ring. But to be clear, the only charges he's facing right now are the human smuggling charges. Just that's the one offense. But the other things that you have talked about are not actually in the indictment.
No, co-conspirators allege that, and we were clear to say that he's charged with It's not only very serious charges of alien smuggling.
Why are you bringing up what co-conspirators said, you stupid fucking piece of shit?
And again, there were...
Yeah, like, wait, what? So, co-conspirators, they were in the indictment. That's why she's bringing them up. These co-conspirators were in the indictment. That's why she's bringing it up. And you're like, oh, but they're co-conspirators. Like, what's wrong with co-conspirators? Like, and it's so stupid because he's like, oh, it's improper because she's not bringing anything up that's in the indictment. But those co-conspirators are in the indictment. So she is bringing something up that's in the indictment. But I guess your tiny little brain can't connect the two things together.
Children involved in that. You know, human trafficking, not only in our country, but in our world, is very, very real. It's very dangerous. And as you saw recently in Virginia, the arrest we made of the MS-13 member, unrelated to this, we learned at that press conference, that's where they bring young children into our country and they start grooming them at middle school age to become MS-13 full-fledged members, commit violent crimes throughout our country. It is highly organized. It is very dangerous. And they are living throughout our country, but no more, because they are being arrested, they are being prosecuted and being convicted and deported when appropriate.
I feel like there should be a different... I feel like we need two different words for shipping around illegal aliens, because when somebody says trafficking, at least in my mind, I associate trafficking with against somebody's will. Like this person's being trafficked. But I think legally and colloquially, well, this admin, like if I were to be in Mexico and I'm a Mexican, I'm like, I want to illegally immigrate to the US, I sell a bunch of shit and I pay some dude who's like, can you ship me over the border? Like, let's fucking do it. And then I do it. And I'm like consenting the whole time. I'm paying some guy and doing it. I'm also being like trafficked, I think. People also consider that trafficking. I don't know. It feels like kind of a weird conflation of, well, it's not even a conflation. I think that you can use the same word for both. But I mean, it feels different, right? I don't know.
Interesting. Let's see. Can we find the rest of this video? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But let's go to the erudite thing, the actual video that we wanted to watch. New video. We're not going back to the video because like I'm not too interested in this. I only played it because I couldn't speak for a little while, but now I can. So Asmongold.
Hey guys, I'm sick tonight, which is why I didn't want to stream. So hopefully you don't mind my stuffy voice. I just finished watching the
my favorite feminist, and I only say that facetiously.
Olivia, Juliana, Micah, Irfan, How Do We Win Men Back video, and I'm actually going to review for you guys Asmongold. I wanted to watch the video by itself. I just didn't want to include it in this review, since it'll come up again in the Asmongold reaction, I suppose, that we're doing here today. My initial reaction is, first of all, I've heard some rumor that people think that Olivia Juliana is working with Speaking with American Men, the $20 million budgeted program for researching like syntax stuff of men. That's not true from everything. I have actually spoken to that group. They didn't know anything about it. So I don't know why anyone is saying that. I don't think there's any reason to believe that. Olivia Juliana is just another left-leaning person who is now suddenly very interested in tackling the man issue. So everyone being like, this is who the Democrats are offering. It's like, she's just, to assume that this is who the Democrats are offering assumes way too much coordination and unification amongst the left. I gotta tell you, there is none of that, okay? There's Speaking with American Men, there's Diverting Hate, there's a whole bunch of groups that are interested in trying to reach men as a result of the election. Unfortunately, it would be really nice if there was a group that was trying to reach men because they care about men. My reaction to the Olivia Juliana stuff is she's like just as disconnected as the rest of them, probably because she spends most of her time talking to, as she says,
Donald Trump's administration during legal...
Nope, they ignore that. This feminist, she is one, but like I like to use in air quotes because she's not the typical feminist. Actually cares about men, and that's why I'm like, yeah, this is my favorite feminist because this one actually cares about men.
Men.
Which is not normal.
Conservative and left-leaning. But if you're just talking to college young men, you're getting like less than 50% of young men's opinion, right? Because most young men don't get to go to college because they can't afford it. So I think she's just got a very skewed perspective. I've also noticed this hesitance on the left in general to like acknowledge our issue with masculinity. We just don't want to go there. We just don't want to think about the fact that maybe we find masculinity a little bit icky. I'm not really sure why people are so resistant to this on the left, but it seems like that's a big issue. And so I think Olivia Juliana is just another example of this. She mostly cites economics and housing as the issue for young men because, again, on exit polls, Blue Rose showed this. The problem is that Blue Rose never asked young men how they felt about like leftist ideology. In fact,
Cockatab. I am a streamer too. Can you follow me and drop a message in my chat? Kick.
Garbage. Get out of here. No. Why would I do that? Like, wait, hold up. You're streaming right now, but you decided to go watch other people's streamers just because you want other people to chat? No, bro, no.
Mercenary. Buy my art.
Yeah, that's... Actually, I think this guy is just a desperate dude. A desperate dude that has a bot that automatically does this stuff. Like Cola tab, like... has nothing to do... Okay, whatever. Ignored.
Very worried that their exclusion of that attribute potentially has led to a massive misunderstanding for Democrats. It's this very interesting thing where I feel like in many ways men are like telling you in social
follow
media
my
spaces
stream, I'll follow you back. Let's grow together. Kick. com/Brian Cubat.
Oh no, we have a guy that's trying to spam his stuff. Whatever. Ignored.
they're frustrated with.
Don't
and
do a
everyone's being
chat.
like, yeah, but it's housing and economics. And my point to that is essentially every single group, regardless of how they voted, cited housing and economics as the reason why they voted the way that they did. Every single group, left and right, it was the top 2 performing issues by like miles on every group. And the issue is that young men are the main group where we are seeing such a massive shift. And my concern is that if the left doesn't figure out an answer for young men, the shift is going to get worse, because right now these are young men who are shifting right. But a lot of them identify more as independent. They don't identify as either party. So they're still, you can still reach them. You can still talk to them.
Yep. Someone who actually understands this. Thank you.
But typically as people age, they will shift toward the right over time, both because of the kind of creeping crawl of Overton's window, but also there are a number of factors in life that make us, for example, less open to experience. Holy shit. I was about to say open to adventure.
Oh, whoops.
For example,
more makeup than usual. Oh, I'm picky now. Haha.
People age.
Wait, her or... No, you're obviously talking about her.
Typically, our O factor in the personality test, like the Neopi R, so openness to experience, that actually decreases with age. So typically, people become a little bit less open, they become a little bit less agreeable, and they become significantly more conscientious as they age in North American society.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of reasons as to why that is. Maybe I don't know all the reasons. But as you see those slight personality shifts over time with aging, those personality shifts predict conservative voting pretty consistently. And so the fact that young men in 2024 were voting so significantly right, those young men who by and large still even are being polled as being, as Olivia says correctly, pro gay marriage, pro welfare state, like they're pretty pro social left stuff.
She's going to talk about Asmongold very, very soon. So, actually, like, I mean, this is kind of like her perspective moment, but like, I'm just going to, should we skip to it? Yeah, we'll skip to it.
Juliana, and this isn't to like shit on Olivia Juliana. I have a feeling that she gets shit on a lot, probably because of how she looks.
Actually, but actually, she's going to be very surprised with Asmongold's take, because Asmon did watch this. But yeah, give me 2 seconds. I need to go do a thing. AFK. All right, I'm back. Let me just fix this. There we go. There we go. Anyways, yeah, let's continue this.
Which is not good, but also there's a lot of stuff that she says that I'm not super enthralled by.
Like they want to dominate everybody, and Republicans say you get to do that, and then Democrats can't say that. So we just lost them and it's over, right?
What a weird thing to say. She has been elected as the champion to change young men's viewpoints.
She was not elected as the champion for that. Two strikes. First of all, he was clearly joking with that statement. Second of all,
actually, well, actually, let me see her take. I'm going to see her take. I don't think he was joking with the exaggeration, but the base underline argumentation he was being legit with. Like whatever. Let's keep going.
This video got 17,000 views. I don't know why anyone would think that the DNC is electing her to solve men's issues.
And to get young men to come back to the Democratic Party.
The reason why Republican messaging resonates with men is because men want bad things, right? It's like men want to have sex and like own women, right? Like they want to dominate everybody, and Republicans say you get to do that, and then Democrats can't say that. So we just lost them and it's over, right? Like, what are you talking about? Like a lot of times it will be men that are liberals who will like agree with that shit. I'm like, dude, what is going on? Like, there's a lot of men that don't.
Oh, yeah, wait, yeah, see? He does actually believe that nonsense. He does actually believe that nonsense. Like, the joke is that he thinks that it's an under-exaggeration. She thought that he was joking as in, like, he was over-exaggerating. But he's actually joking in that when he's saying all that, he thinks that's an under-exaggeration. It's not just them. Even liberal men are like this. Like, he actually believes this.
Don't think that way, obviously. And
Wait, what's his issue with this?
What the fuck? Are you off your meds? Like, are you off your fucking meds? Like, what's this guy?
It's just such a negative view to take on like half of the human race.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that.
Does Asmongold understand that that guy is being glib? Like, he doesn't agree with that statement. He thinks that characterizing men as just wanting to have sex and dominate women is a bad mischaracterization.
No, you missed it.
This kid. Well, I don't think he's super grounded into like the issues.
Wait, hold up. Wait a second.
Wait, what's his issue? 17,000 views. I don't know why anyone would think that the DNC is electing her to solve men's issues.
And to get young men to come back to the Democratic Party.
The reason why...
Like, I thought... Yeah, okay, I said what I said, but like, let me see. Let's listen to this.
Republican messaging resonates with men is because men want bad things, right? It's like men want to have sex and like own women, right? Like they want to dominate everybody, and Republicans say you get to do that, and then Democrats can't say that. So we just lost them and it's over, right? Like, what are you talking about? Like a lot of times it will be men that are liberals who will like agree with that shit. I'm like, dude, what is going on? Like, there's a lot of men that don't think that way, obviously. And
Gordo Sprite. My stream is better. LOL. Come join XD Kick.
Yeah, don't do it, chat. Don't do it, chat. We got some losers coming into the chat trying to beg for views. Yeah, don't do it.
Wait, what's his issue with this?
What the?
Okay, I can actually see. Let's continue this. I'm just gonna let this play out.
Are you off your meds?
I see
She sucks
why.
3 tracker. Join my Kick stream. I am better than you, Kick.
All right. We're going to Is there a way for me to disable a specific... We want to own women? Question mark. Nah. I mean, it would make life so much easier, but like, then we would be hypocrites. So I'd rather not be a hypocrite than to have an easier life. That sounds so bad when I say it like that, but you know what? No one would agree with that framing anyways. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe I won't. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. If it happens again, I'm going to
Where's
out.
Neri? LOL, it's a hard one.
Yeah.
Like, are you off your fucking meds? Like, who is this guy?
It's just such a negative view to take on like half of the human race.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that
Does Asmongold understand that that guy is being glib? Like, he doesn't agree with that statement. He thinks that characterizing men as just wanting to have sex and dominate women is a bad and mischaracterization. Like,
Oh, okay. So I actually do see that now. I do see that now. Let's see if Asmon actually figures that one out.
this kid, well, I don't think he's super grounded into like the issues, is not saying that that's true or what anyone thinks about men or is a good way to characterize men. He disagrees with that.
the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys, and in that I realized like.
So that right there is the problem.
Why is that the problem?
Let him speak. Let him speak, bro. He's going to explain himself. Join
my kick stream. I am better than you, Kick.
Oh, fuck off. You know what? I'm done. Yeah, Kick, you're gone. You're gone. You're not having any more chats. Which is gonna suck because I won't be able to see your chats anymore on my end. So.
Where's Neri? Stay away from her, Waz.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Does it still work? Yo, test. Yeah, it doesn't work anymore. Good. Now, anyone that pops up on our freaking thing over there on the other place is not going to be promoted because Kick, you're being a piece of shit right now.
She's making a joke. Unless I hope he brings up college. Sorry, hopefully he brings up college.
It's that if a guy went and said that and saying, I love young women, I love sorority girls, like these people would be losing their mind.
Oh.
And
true. Yes. Erudite. Come on now. You got to at least understand this one.
I mean, that's true. Yeah. I just think equal strokes. Look,
Yeah.
I want to sexualize men more, okay? I think we should stop villainizing all elements of masculine sexuality, just as we've started celebrating feminine sexuality, okay?
Yes.
I think equal strokes for equal folks. Sexualize the men more, really. But yeah, he's right. I don't disagree with him on that.
the issue right there.
See, she agrees with that. She agrees with Asmon's take on that. Thank you, because I remember this. I agreed with Asmon when he said this too. Like, yeah, it's hypocrisy.
I wonder if she realizes this. That's actually the problem right there. It's these weird double social standards that
Where's
don't
Neri?
need to exist.
Asmond is gold.
Yes.
How old is she? I don't know how old she is at all. It doesn't really matter. But like what I'm saying is like just saying it that way is the issue. Let me go back. I'll listen to the rest of it.
Even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who support Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
Well, it's because we get tone policed, because you can make a joke about liking young women or liking young men, but a guy does that and he gets painted out as a creep. Connecting with young men.
Richard, no. Richard, no. Come on,
Oh,
Richard.
she's doing the multiple camera angle thing. Oh, she's also an OBS whiz. She definitely has. Well, she's using the mic. She's using the stereotypical mic. I'm using the baby version of that mic because I'm not taking out $400 to get this microphone when the $200 one, same brand, does the exact same thing and sounds just as good. Like there's no reason for this. It does have a really good hinge point, which is awesome.
Where's
This
Neri?
doesn't.
Foot
but
mirror
whatever.
still in C.
Foot mirror still in C. Oh yeah, yep. So camera angle, it's a little off, but you know what? It's all right.
Not Olivia. There's nothing wrong inherently with Olivia. I just think Olivia's still a little out of touch. I think Zach is correct in this. The issue is that I think everyone's like touching at little surface pieces, right? But the issue is, the problem is that when they hear Zach say, It's just the double standards. It's that men can't make these jokes. Then a lot of Democrats go, I'm sorry. So if we were just chill with you guys saying the word retard and making like sexist jokes, suddenly you'd vote for us? I find that dubious, right? And they're right, because it's not as simple as allowing certain amounts of edgy behavior. What it fundamentally is, it's not even just about the double standards, because we accept double standards all over the place between the genders and the sexes, because we understand that some of the double standards is reasonable, right? We understand a woman walking home at night is going to be significantly more nervous, even though men are actually more likely to be assaulted by a stranger, because we understand in the situation that a woman is assaulted, that she likely will be overpowered and cannot defend herself. So we understand the double standard that she erects, and we should. And there's double standards that we erect all the time that we just kind of accept to some degree. And so it's not the double standards in and of themselves. It's the fact that the prototypical average male experience, probably having no dad, divorced dad, minimal relationship with dad, being working class on average, and potentially has never had a serious relationship, or potentially also has a misdemeanor, right? 1/3 of men, by the time they hit the age of 35, have a misdemeanor or a felony. And 1/3 of men, by the time they hit 30.
I'm glad to say that I have not hit that statistic, but I am also not. I'm like, what? How many years am I from 35? Like a lot. So yeah, hopefully I don't hit that statistic. I don't think I'm gonna hit that statistic. I don't do stuff. So
have never had a serious long-term relationship. So if you take that man at 20 and you put him into a Democratic circle, he will never be accepted for who he is, flaws and all, right? So there's a lot of issues that are
she understands. This is why I like this lady.
Actually affecting men uniquely. The school to prison pipeline is a really good example of this, of a specific type of policy and system in which young boys are not understood because they externalize more often than young girls do, right? In school, the young girls who get looked past are the ADHD girls who just zone out, and they don't get looked into because they're not externalizing, so they look good. And the boys get penalized, punished, and sent on in-school suspensions because they externalize their distress. And then we have this system.
Milestone reached. The hover pack draws energy from nearby power.
Where's Neri? My record's clean now. I'm too old for crime. Winky face.
Haha.
Point of your work, which you clearly need. Otherwise,
Where systematically men, in the way that we have socialized them, and to some degree because of their biology, that they often experience and express dysfunction, particularly, and struggle, is not just not accepted, it is wholly unpalatable and viewed as unsafe, right? Think about the prototypical high-risk youth boy. He's 14, no dad. He's probably got a single mom who's working around the clock to make enough money to pay for food, so minimal parenting. If there is parenting, it's going to be from grandma and grandpa, who are old and tired, and he's probably in a low-income neighborhood, so he's going to a low-income school that is overextended, understaffed, and underfunded. He's probably slipping through the cracks, and importantly, and a lot of people don't realize this, in general, males will neurodevelopmentally be slightly behind girls. So one of the reasons why messy printing is so common amongst boys versus girls is
I'm a part of that statistic. Messy printing. Yeah.
Because the time in which we introduce handwriting to children, the fine motor system in young girls is developed enough to build the correct pathways for correct fine motor movement, whereas young boys... Oh, that ping is coming through. Fuck. I'm so sorry, Sulak. I was cooking too.
No, why did you...
Okay, that's done. One thing that I think a lot of us in the left don't actually reconcile with, and probably don't even know, is that neurodevelopmentally, on average, boys and males specifically tend to be behind females. So when you look, there's a common trope. Little girls typically have better handwriting than little boys, and this persists all through school. The reason for it...
I'm glad she got back on point, because I was actually very interested in what she was going to say to that.
This, though, is because fine motor control is a process of basically what we call pruning in the brain. So when you're born, you have more neurons than you need, and your brain prunes, I shouldn't even put quotes, it literally like kills off excess neurons to make your brain more efficient. And so as you're aging, there are different things, just like as a baby starts, they start by learning to like lift their neck, right? This is like gross motor control. And what handwriting is called fine motor control. And when little girls are learning to write and little boys are learning to write, most on average little girls, their fine motor control system is developed enough that the pathways that they are laying will be correct, and they have the functional level of control of their hand to actually learn how to print neatly and then cement that pathway into their brain. Okay? young boys neurodevelopmentally on average are slightly behind. So just like you'll watch a little baby who maybe can't pick up a Cheerio at like, I don't even know what month, say like at 6 months, but by the time they're 2 years old, they can pick up a Cheerio very well. Like they grab it with their finger and they put it in their mouth. Whereas if you watch a baby try to eat Cheerios at first, they're like,
oh, a Cheerio. I'm like, what did she say? A Cheerio, like the cereal, Cheerios, the cereal.
And they're just making a mess and Cheerios are all over their face and they're spilling everywhere. That's fine motor control. And so young boys' fine motor control system is literally slightly behind on average young girls, which is why young boys have messy writing, because we cement that pathway into their brain before their brain is ready to even take up that skill. And boys maintain on average that slight developmental delay all through their lives until about 25, when we all kind of round out and all end up being about the same. And again, this is on average. But when we're looking at men and boys and why they're falling behind, it's because you have these young boys who are neurodevelopmentally on average, and especially the ones slipping through the cracks, they're significantly behind, right? They're struggling to keep up with the schoolwork. They likely have high stress at home, probably poor nutrition, minimal parenting, and no same-sex role model, which really matters. And then young boys will externalize. They'll throw a tantrum.
Look at that. Look at that. Same-sex role. Where have I heard that before? Tim Pool, if no one's actually understanding where I'm getting that reference from. Tim Pool talks about this all the time. But she's a feminist. Yeah, she is. But like, she goes deep on issues and is very fair on both sides. Like she's a very fair feminist. Let's just say that.
They'll throw shit. They'll kick shit. They'll scream. They'll snap things. They'll wiggle their legs up and down really loudly and aggressively. And then we look at this and we go, this is really bad. When what we should really be doing is looking at this and going, this is externalizing. And when girls do it, they also get punished, just to be clear. An externalizing girl, ask any young woman now who's like a 20, 30-year-old who was historically an externalizer, what their life is like. It's miserable. Girls who are externalizers, it's like, at least boys, people expect like that boys will be like this to some extent. Girls, if you're an externalizing girl, you're just a bad girl, basically. You are a failure of a female.
Failure of a female. Holy crap.
And I'm not like a full externalizer. I'm just more externalizing than some young women. But boys are on average externalizing. And so we have these boys and they externalize, and then at 14, they're still disrupted and they're angry. They probably hate school at this point because they're developmentally slightly behind their peers. They've been convinced that they're stupid. Their externalizations of their frustration has just gone punished upon punished upon punished, that by the time they're 14, some of them act out violently. A lot of them do. 1/3 of them act out so violently that they get a misdemeanor or a felony on their record, right? And so when we say young men are being left behind by the left, I'm not just saying, I wish they could make sexist jokes and be safe to do so. I'm saying the prototypical young man and his life experience and what that will create will never be accepted by the Democrats. He will be villainized. And his entire life from about 12 up will be villainized. He was bad. He was violent. He was aggressive. He was mean. He was loud. He was rude. He was rebellious. And we don't look at this as a child externalizing unhealthily and doing not good behavior, crimes, not good. And the left has no answer for this. They have no way to even begin to engage in this, right? We don't even have an answer saying something like, there are healthy ways to externalize. There has to be policy in primary and early education that is adapted to allow the...
Everything that she's saying, I completely agree with. Like, she's making so much... Tell me, is she not making sense right now? Is she not making sense? Like, tell me in the comments below. Wartsnary, what are you saying? What's your thoughts? He's the guy in my chat. For anyone that's watching this video as a video instead of live, which is going to be kind of weird because there's no way I'm going to be editing this thing out on a timely basis. It's probably good. I'm going to stream this a month before I actually edit this out and throw it on my other channel.
Externalizers better options, because sitting down and listening for 8 hours a day isn't really doable for any young kids, but especially not for externalizing children, which is typically young boys, and particularly not for externalizing children who are slightly neurodevelopmentally behind their peers.
I don't think I'm an externalizer either, because like I don't like school was. I mean, it was boring, and I just hated the fact that I had to go there. But I never had an issue of just sitting still, like. When we go, like, I would love gym because, like, I could do stuff, but, like, I had no issue with, like, just sitting still. Like, I know some people have an issue with that where they have to do something or move, but...
Worse nary. All a bit airy-fairy. Boys need discipline.
Yeah.
Like the average young boy, right? And so when we're saying that there's a masculine issue, it is that prototypical masculine expressions are punished systematically
by death
from a very young age.
I just wanted to say that.
Expressions are punished
by death. Not really, but
systematically from a very young age, typically for rules of safetyism or bullying, which again, this isn't malicious. It isn't some malicious conspiracy where a bunch of liberals got together and were like, how do we make school miserable for boys? How do we make early childhood miserable for boys? Nobody's doing that.
That is true.
What they're doing is going, we don't want bullying and we want kids to be more safe, right? Punching each other is not safe. Throwing rocks, not safe. We don't want property damage. So all these policies have emerged from really understandable position.
Military school for all 12 to 21. Winky face.
True. Yes. Maybe not for the females, but like I think males should have more physical stuff. Like I think males and females should be taught differently because they are different because of their tendencies. Like women are able to just sit down a little bit more, but like it should be on a gray scale where there's some internalizing, not the word that she used for like there should be a gray zone for the people that don't fit in the general category. Like there's some guys that can sit in school and behave just like women, and then there's some women out there that can't sit down and sit still like other women. So like there should be like a little bit of a mix in there, but like yeah, other than that, then if that was the case, then yeah, agreed.
Where's Neri? I was right lazy at school. You'd notice from the size of M.oi.
Of M.oi?
But as a result of essentially looking at boys and men as essentially the inheritors of the highest amount of privilege by nature of their sex,
Where's
we've
Neri?
been unwilling to look at the yellow and increasingly now red flags of an entire group of people that are struggling. And what we want to say to them is, figure it out. Stop fucking whining. That's the answer a lot of people want to give them. So it's not just the double standards. It's this entire systemic and systematic process by which the prototypical masculine experience, whether we agree with it or not, whether we want to change it or not, we have what we have, will be rejected from the Democrats, and most importantly, it will be villainized. It will never sought to be, it will never be sought to be understood. That's what we have.
Yeah, she actually hit the nail on the head of that one. Like, let's listen to that one more time. Like, she's basically saying that, well, the Democrats are, like, they fundamentally will not understand men. They just don't want to because they see men as bad, because they do things that are unsafe, and things that are unsafe. But, like, she should at least go into toxic femininity. Like, that's the reason why things have to be super safe all the time, is because of, I would say, toxic femininity. Because, like, just like how there's toxic masculinity, being overly angry all the time and fighting and like physical violence, that's like toxic masculinity and stuff like that. Toxic femininity is trying to be too safe all the time. Like, we got to wrap everything in bubble wrap, and everyone's restricted to doing anything. Like, you have to be as safe as possible. That's toxic femininity, where you're restricted to the point to where you can't do anything, and everything needs to be a safe space. Everything needs to be like, there's trigger words. Like, the whole concept of a trigger word is, and how that's like a terrible thing to do, or hate speech, or like, it's all that stuff is like, because you're trying to prevent things from going bad or whatever. But like, to the point to where it's well, I already said it.
And until we get this through our heads and start finding smart ways to reach them, because the time they're 22 and watching Asmongold, or more further along, who's like not even that far right? By the time they're 22, 23, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. We should have been addressing this 20 years ago. We should have been addressing this at least 15 years ago, right? And it's getting worse. It is getting worse because safetyism in schools is getting more intense. This is genuine, right? This is something Jonathan Haidt writes about, with the safetyism within schools. And unless we reach their hearts today, they're going to break our hearts tomorrow, right? And so my goal is to try to understand them, to understand where 22-year-olds are at right now, and to understand that if you want to change all of them, you won't. If you want to write a new script for masculinity, you have to start young, and you have to start with where men are at right now, which is a lot of wanting to not be chirped at for making edgy jokes. But also, men, pick your time. right? Be a little bit socially sensitive to which edgy jokes you should drop at what time, right? There has to be like this give and take. But the start has to be understanding why men feel so abandoned by the left. It's interesting that speaking for American men, some of the statements that have come out of their group studies with men, one that really strikes me is this one man responded. He was like, it sucks because it feels like the left has abandoned me and the right never cared. And I'd rather be voting for a group that at least never even pretended to care about me than a group that says that they care about everyone, but they definitely don't care about me.
Yeah.
And in fact, kind of think I'm bad, right? It's just, I don't know. Okay, sorry.
That's true.
Holy shit. 3 minutes in. Let's go.
Gentlemen, if you are a really big Republican conservative, you are probably so happy right now. You are probably this is crazy. It's like they basically announced that their strategy is to continue losing. This is unbelievable.
Olivia writes a Substack, which probably, statistically speaking, like 89% of y'all read already. But Olivia, I want you to talk about that Substack, and I also want you to talk.
So I keep seeing people talk about young men in the 2020 cycle or in the 2024 cycle, and they keep saying like, well, it's because they're not getting laid enough and they feel judged, and or alternatively, well, they're just racist and they hate women. So like it's really, I see
true. Well, no, not true, but like base
takes coming out from both sides.
Yep.
Of the party wing, I would say. And I just think that all of that is wrong. I think all of it is wrong. And so I wrote this.
It's not. Guys not being able to get girlfriends is a huge reason why they hate liberalism. Is because they feel like conservatism would create an apparatus that would make it easier for them to get a girlfriend. No.
Wait, why are you, wait, what's wrong with that statement? I think that's true.
I'm dubious of that. I think I don't think
she loves that word, dubious. Let's look that up. What does dubious mean?
This is the definition of dubious. Hesitating or doubting.
Oh, you're dubious. Okay. Makes sense.
I don't think men are blaming liberalism for not getting a girlfriend. They're bitter. I guess maybe if they're blaming,
would create an apparatus that would make it easier for them to get a girlfriend.
Wait, really? To what? What I said?
No.
I'm dubious of that. I don't think men are blaming liberalism for not getting a girlfriend. They're bitter. I guess maybe if they're blaming feminism. Okay, let's hear more. Let's
see. Like this is so they don't even know what they're talking about.
Piece called "The Politics of Getting Laid and Preaching Females."
I thought it was something bad, dubious, doubting.
Oh, dubious. I mean, it's just you're just doubting the other person.
Where's Neri? Doubting.
Hesitating or doubting.
Sup.
Hello, hi.
Rajarazir. What's this channel about?
This channel is about doing whatever I want to do. That's what this channel is about. So if you're going to try and sell art, well, that's not happening because I'm all over the place.
Dive into what I actually perceive it to be, and shocker.
Oh, wait, what happened? Am I still watching the same thing? Oh, yes, I am.
It's all economic anxiety. I think the Democrats have a really bad problem.
What are we doing now then?
Every time we message to young men.
We're watching a video while I stream a game in live because, like, I'm listening to Erudite talk to a guy talking about Asmongold, and Asmongold is watching a video of this lady. So it's a reaction of a reaction to a reaction. Yeah.
But it's not
That's
just
what we're
that.
doing right
It's
now.
the tone policing and the amount of things that like you're not.
Basically, this person's a feminist, and she had a surprising reaction towards Asmongold because Asmon did had an interesting take on this person. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
Allowed to say, and double standards. That's another really big factor.
We frame it in a way that is wrapped up in the same principles that we critique. We critique the patriarchy. We critique the way that men have hierarchy and power structures, and then we message to them as if not only is that the reality, but that they have to continue to be like that. So,
but the overall issue is that men are leaving the Democratic Party, and they're talking about it and why that's happening.
The example I use in the article is the issue of abortion. When we message to young men on abortion, or men in general, we do it from the position of, well, real men protect women. And if you care about the woman in your life...
wait a minute. You use the real men thing, you're out.
True.
No, there's no real man. The only time I want to hear what a real man does is from a man that's been married for 50 years and has 7 kids. I'll listen to him. I don't want to hear for a fucking second from a 20 or 30-year-old woman what a real man is.
Wait, I think she's agreeing. I think she's saying that this type of messaging is bad, that real men care. I know what she's going to say because I pre-watched her
So is she on the same wavelength as Asmongold?
Well, she has a deeper, she does like a deeper analysis.
What about you?
I agree with Asmon, but I like how she thinks. I agree with Asmon on this, on most of what he was saying. There was a little bit in the beginning where I was like, wait a second, actually, Asmon had a different take, or misunderstood what this guy at the beginning was talking about, but and she kind of clarified, and I rewatched it a few times, and I was like, oh, okay, I kind of see her point, but Asmon didn't really go too deep into that, so I can't really say that he said anything wrong. It's just that maybe he just misinterpreted what this guy was saying. But yes, keep going.
She's about to say the Democrat positioning on abortion for men is real men care about like their sisters and girlfriends and stuff like that. But she's saying, and that's bad. Like, that's stupid. That's not good policy.
Where's Neri?
Men aren't interested in that.
Asmond is gold. He seems reasonable to me. Keep crushing Hassan. Winky face.
Oh yeah, when he talks about Hassan, I mean, it's kind of hard not to talk about Hassan and actually be in the right, to be fair. But yeah. Because Destiny will talk about Hassan, and he'd be correct.
You should be pro-choice. And that might be true. That is true. But we don't come at it from the approach of this is the reality that young men face about that issue. Because it's entirely possible that a young woman in college gets pregnant unexpectedly, and that could upend her life if she doesn't have access to abortion care. But it's also
does she fucking get it?
Hassan's a dingus. The young guy who gets her pregnant, now he's on the hook to not only take care of this child that could be him, that could be coming into the world, but also to take care now of the mother of his child. And I think that it would be so much easier if we just understood.
He's not on the hook. This is the problem with their messaging. You shouldn't be on the hook to take care of the woman that you had sex with and have a kid with. You shouldn't be on the hook for that. You should have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
The frame of reference of this is so...
Wait, I feel like a lot of red pill men would feel that way, because if you are on the hook, because even if you kind of are on the hook, because if you were like, I actually want nothing to do with this child, that doesn't matter. If it's got your DNA, she can take you to court, she can get child care.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm sick. Child support. Child support, holy shit. Look, I have a brain injury, okay? Words are hard for me at all times, and when I'm sick, my like symptoms of my brain injury with like words is so bad.
Fucking off. It's unbelievable.
Like, I feel like Zach is so frustrated at this point that he's kind of looking for things to be triggered by. Whereas it's like, she's kind of cooking here. And sure, part of it's like, yeah, you get an opportunity to care. But when we're talking about abortion, right, if the argument is about pro-abortion for men, it's not like, you get the opportunity to have a baby, but because of abortion, now you don't. It's like that, well, that wouldn't be pro-abortion messaging, right? The pro-abortion messaging is, you have no way of financially aborting yourself with a child. So if that woman has a child, you are now on the hook of it, which is why like things like birth control and sex education and abortion and Plan B and all these things are really valuable for young people to have access to.
All right, you're just repeating yourself.
It's insane. How are these people so delusional? And she's getting, they need to give me $40 million. Actually, just give me 10. Just give me 10.
She has nothing to do with speaking with American men. Nothing. As far as I know.
And that's enough.
The problems we're having with young men shifting to the right, it's not because they don't agree with us on the policy. They do agree.
They do not agree with the policy. They agree with some of the policies, but not with others. This is not binary.
That's true.
With us on the policy.
Also, going back to the issue of men and abortion, the reason why some men are against abortion is because they view it as asymmetrical. Men cannot have a choice on whether they pay child support, but women can have a choice.
That's what she's saying when she says you're on the hook in part. Like, she's not talking about financial abortion, but she's acknowledging to some level the complications and problems for young men.
On whether they have a kid or not. Now, this is my viewpoint, right? Is that asymmetry is innate to the human experience and to being a man. But the asymmetry is the reason why so many people push back against it. It's that in a lot of these liberal positions...
No, the main reason that people are opposed to abortion is because they think that abortion is murder. If young men are going to be for abortion, and you want a message on it, the only messaging should be, this will help you not be on the hook for it. But to be clear, why would you be messaging to young men about abortion just generally? I don't feel like that's a policy that like distinctly impacts them in the way that it impacts women. I don't think men are voting super strongly based on abortion issues in the way that women are. I don't like. We probably just don't need to reach men about abortion
I'm for
issues.
absence, mainly cause I'm so ugly. Winky face. Ha
unless
ha.
you want to convince them that life doesn't begin at conception.
Damn. Damn. Okay. I mean, abstinence makes the most sense, honestly. Like, abstinence is 100% foolproof because no physical contact equals impossible to have a kid. So, like, there's no such thing as an accident happening. There's no percentage chance of something accidentally happening in abstinence. That's the only reason why, I think abstinence is like the best way to like prevent that.
But that's very tied to the religious beliefs. So then you need to kind of disentangle these two things, or become a based Christian like me, who believes in science and Jesus.
There is a conscious effort that basically
the numbers
women
of getting rid of it is crazy. Sad face.
Getting rid of what?
To maintain privileges and obtain other opportunities that men traditionally have. So they want to maintain the privileges in society that they have while also taking over the advantages that men had. That's the problem.
Because they feel like
that's it.
We don't understand the struggles they're facing, the actual struggle.
Yeah. It's I mean, the way I see it is that the people that are getting rid of it are the people that don't want to have kids in the first place. So I say let them. It's like a self-fixing problem. All the people that don't want kids won't have kids, and all the people that do want kids will have kids.
Rajar not if you have a functioning state that can provide for its citizens when needed. You shouldn't go bankrupt if you broke a leg.
Yes, you shouldn't go bankrupt if you broke a leg, but just because you also shouldn't put yourself in a situation to break that leg in the first place.
Was like people with 4 or more. I mean 4 or more. That's crazy.
Again, I don't clarify yourself.
Worse, Nary.
It's not the
Abortion.
Oh. Yeah, people. Yeah, it's crazy. But like, it's a self.
Okay, what about the citizen that just got into an accident, like a pedestrian getting hit by a car?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, the insurance of the other person is going to pay for all that, so the other person isn't like it's not coming out of it's not coming out of the person that got hit's pocket. It's coming out of the other person's pocket because of the insurance.
Struggles of the masculinity crisis or whatever it is, the actual struggle.
That's a real struggle.
Rajar
You don't know that because
okay,
you're
but
not
that person runs off and not caught.
If that person runs off and not caught? Okay, well, now that's completely, that has nothing to do with whether someone should be on the hook
that doesn't make a life either.
You guys are having two different conversations. That doesn't make... I'm talking about, this is a different situation now. Like, people aren't going to... How do I word this properly? If they run off, this is a different situation. Like, the first point... then this is a completely different story. This is not about, money. This is about the person running off. That's the problem here. The bigger problem is the person running off, not whether... someone, if their leg is broken and they go bankrupt because the leg is broken. That's the secondary problem at that point. The other person ran off. That's the bigger problem. We should be focusing on the bigger problem, not whether someone's leg is Like, we need to fix that other one first before we go and tackle that other one, because that's the lesser issue at that point. So, like, I get your...
It's not different. We're just looking at the injured person. The injured person is screwed no matter how you look at it.
Well, yes, because they got hit by a car. Yes, that is true. Like, the bigger issue is getting hit by the car, not whether they're going to go bankrupt, whether they can't afford to fix the leg or not. Like, that's the thing. That's the, like, it's like, I understand why you say it's not different. Like, it's not different substantively. They're basically the
breaking
same.
your leg and getting pregnant are different.
Oh, wait, were you comparing it to getting pregnant? I thought you were just comparing breaking the leg versus someone getting hit by someone running away after a hit and run. I thought that was the comparison. But yeah, let's continue.
Fact is that there's a huge, insane, like, I think I might have to go through this whole thing.
Look, I'm a woman and I know that. It's because they don't know that. Liberal men don't know this either, okay? Pisco still doesn't believe me on this. Okay, so there are
no worse
plenty of
nary
liberal
is
men.
misunderstanding. I'm talking more broadly.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought too.
The liberal men who don't believe me on this are typically have survivor bias. They probably weren't behind that much in school, most likely. They probably got a college degree. They're probably very successful in school, and in general, aren't experiencing a prototypical average male experience where they're like working class.
I do apologize.
Oh, no. I mean, no need to apologize. It's just a miscommunication. It's not like you were deliberately doing that, which, like, we're all good faith here. We're all good faith. I always assume good faith before I assume bad faith.
Rajar is here. All is good.
Potentially might have a misdemeanor or felony, or potentially and likely haven't had a really serious relationship by the time they're 30, right? And probably have not super healthy male role models, right? Those are the men. Those are the men that we're talking about. Those are the men that are feeling left behind. Liberals do not believe. They do not believe that there's a masculinity issue, and it's not because they're men or women. It is because they still don't want to deal with the masculine issue, because they don't like masculinity. Well, they do. They love masculinity because liberal sexism is everywhere. It's so rampant. It's so bad. They just like to pretend all these masculine traits aren't masculine. They're just like gender neutral, but they aren't. And then talk down to you when you're a woman. You're like, hey, some like proto-masculine things are kind of impacting me. And they're like, hey, what are you saying? There's sexism? And you're like, yeah. You guys like don't really like feminine things that much. And they're like, what do you mean? Of course we do. It's like, name one feminine thing that you like. They'll be like, whimsy. And you're like, okay. Yeah, good one. Thanks.
So she understands the hypocrisy, but like she's doing it in her own frame of mind. Like I never heard what she was talking about, but I can understand what she's saying. Like, yes, they like the whole
Rajar is here. Being hit and running off is an issue in itself, but there should be a state-sponsored solution in such cases. Shouldn't a governing body have the function of protecting its weakest citizens? Isn't that the foundation of civilization itself?
Yeah. It's just like it's not something I'm opposed to. It's just that every time when we try to implement something like that, it just doesn't like other government systems that try to implement these types of social safety nets. It always turns out to like how Canada's like the closest thing to having that type of net, that social type of like safety net. But like they have like wait lines for people needing to get injuries for like months, and it's all free and stuff. So like they'll get it. It's just that you gotta wait because there's tons of other people that want to get the free stuff as well, and they only have a limited amount of like doctors. Like if a ton of people all come in to get a broken leg, and
you
you only
should
got
see
10
how much
doctors,
money we spend in the NHS.
and you only got 10 doctors because it's all free. Because like if you do things for free, people aren't going to work for free. Like if a doctor becomes I mean, the government should subsidize it. So, like, just so it makes it lucrative to have more doctors.
I come from Belgium. We have basically free healthcare, and I don't have to wait months for care.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know about Belgium. Maybe you guys do it pretty good in Belgium. But, like, I know in Canada, it kind of sucks. But, like, I think there's a scale issue with it when it comes to this stuff. Like, socialism or social type stuff works really good on the small scale, but when you scale it up to hundreds of millions of people,
EU money, winky face.
It just doesn't work out. Like on a family structure, like when the parents give anything to the kids and the kids just get everything.
Rajar is here. It's good, but it sucks for the workers because they're heavily understaffed.
Yeah, yeah. And then those workers could quit, which makes it even worse for everyone else that wants to get that free stuff.
Nope, no EU money, haha, we wish.
All right, let me continue this video.
Because like, this is embarrassing. This is so pathetic. No, there is a massive fucking issue. And do you want to know why there's an issue? There's an issue because their dads are losers. That's the big issue. That's the big reason. And so their dads are losers, and their dads are not respectful or respectable or anything. And because of that, what happens is that men go to the internet and they find online dads like Andrew Tate or Jordan Peterson, and they try to get their morality from that because there are no positive masculine models in society. And even if you look at
positive masculine models that they can look up to. And when he says dads are losers, I'm assuming he means not there, unavailable, or like fat, lazy, and pathetic, right? Like that's probably most dads. Like there's not a lot of dads. There's not a lot of men. There's definitely not a lot of people, but especially men that are like you can really look up to.
And media, almost all forms.
I guess in today's society, maybe.
Worsenary. LOL, don't use Destiny as a dad model. LOL.
I won't. Bro. Actually, I can't because like we don't know what he's doing with like he talks about his son sometimes, but he kind of tries not to because he doesn't want Destiny is going through a lot of personal stuff behind the scenes, undercover type stuff where he has to deal with like people doxing him, people I wouldn't want to live the life that Destiny has because there's a lot of behind the scenes that he doesn't talk about for security reasons. Let's just say that. And the same with Tim Pool. Like but Tim Pool's a little bit more open about it than Destiny is, but you know.
Sitcoms and media portray, how many of you guys have seen this where there's like a guy, it's like a sitcom and the husband is stupid and the wife is
He brings
smart.
it on himself.
He does.
It's like every single one.
It's interesting because that's like that's to the Democrats' point. That would be like what they call toxic masculinity. It'll be like the fat burping loser dad who's like, meh, meh, bone chain, meh, meh, meh. And you're like, bro, your wife is 8 times hotter than you, does all the work, all the household chores. She's the only one that's fucking breathing at this point. You're basically a rock with a beer in its hand. Like, you're useless. But
he said
like
he wanted JSTLK and QMM to get off.
That's not good masculinity either. And there's a lot of like trad cons, for example. They won't glorify the obesity.
Yeah, Destiny. I mean, yes, he did bring it upon himself. I don't disagree with that.
They'll just be obese while telling women to like work and do all the domestic labor, and they won't be emotionally available, and then they'll demand that she worships.
But that's not an excuse for them to be doing that stuff towards Destiny. Like, just because he's very controversial doesn't mean that he deserves to get doxxed and his family members to get like harassed and stuff.
Penis, you know? Like, this is one of the Democrats' point.
It's exhausting, and so like, yeah,
Fair enough,
where
I'll
do you
cool
find
down.
this?
Winky
It's in
face.
every single.
He does it too.
It's so fucking annoying to see this.
Yeah.
And instead, we just kind of want to blame them for all of our problems.
Right. I think there's a lot of that I just fully agree with. I mean, we just don't message to men, right? I was like we don't message in a way that resonates to men. Like something that you kind of responded to that I've seen a lot is, well, the reason why Republican messaging resonates with men is because men want bad things, right? So like men want to have sex and like own women, right? Like they want to dominate everybody. And Republicans say, you get to do that. And then Democrats can't say that. So we just lost men, it's over.
Do you want to know the real reason why I watched this video? Is because I actually thought that he was creating a joke and he was being facetious, but I think he's being genuine about this. Because I thought to myself watching that clip, there's no way this person can genuinely be this delusional and this retarded. But no, I think this is actually...
His words, not mine. Even though I might agree.
This is actually what he is. It's not the way it seems like it is to me.
Wait,
yeah,
no.
I mean, maybe I don't get his sense of humor, but it sure seems like he's being curious to me.
No, he's not. He's not seriously thinking that this. No, he's not being serious here.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, a lot of times it will be men that are liberals who will like agree with that shit. I'm like, dude, what are you like? What is going on? Like, there's a lot of men that don't think that way, obviously, and it's just such a negative view to take on. Like,
okay, did he click now? Did he click that? He's not joking. This guy isn't just like broken, because his chat is still being like, oh my gosh, stupid man, because so many chatters are just like, they must just only listen to the streamer's voice, and then what the streamer says is like ontologically true, regardless of what video we're watching.
Half of the human race.
Except you guys.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't...
It seems like that he is listening perfectly. It seems like he's listening, but he's just not responding.
Actually spend time talking to young men you know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys.
Again, until you can stop tone policing guys making the same jokes about sorority girls, you will keep losing, because that double standard is disgusting and annoying. I have no problem with her saying that, and I think it's totally all right, but I think it should be okay both ways. There's nothing wrong with her saying that.
I realized,
Stop demonizing men's sexuality in all ways.
like, even the ones that identify as conservative,
It's the dishonesty that's the problem.
they're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box, when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
Yeah, because they're not talked to, right? And yeah, they're not welcome. That's true. Like, there's a lot of times. The reason why it's like being like masculine characteristics or seem like
That's a bit rich from someone from Destiny's community. Chad follows him like a dog.
Oh, yeah. But to be fair on Erudite, she's completely disassociated with Destiny. Seems like she has, because like she doesn't like she has this whole Bridges podcast thing where she kept the business, and now there's a new co-host with it's some other random dude that's not Destiny anymore. So like, to be fair on her, she did kind of like on Destiny a little bit. So yeah, she doesn't say anything mean about him, but you can obviously tell that the thing that she started with Destiny, and Destiny's not there anymore. So
Where's Neri? Next year, she'll be back with him.
Probably.
Party. And like, masculine characteristics are not characteristics that are intrinsically bad, right?
So it is
like,
kind of rich for
and I
us,
think that
yeah.
the Democrats have presented it that way. Obviously not most Democrats, but it's like this perception that a lot of guys have had. In terms of issues, like,
it's because that's the case. Using foul language, being crass, roughhousing, being physical, at least a little bit, right? Obviously, there's a line to everything. Let's see here. Being direct, like getting loud, arguing, etc., being disagreeable. These are things that men are more generally able to do. And what I've noticed is that, like, think about how, for example, how much online spaces have changed because women have gotten involved in these spaces and they've wanted to have more rules for, like, voice chat and stuff like this. Guys want to have male spaces where they can be abrasive, they can be crass, they don't want to live in a sanitized world where they can't make a race joke. And I know you might say, well, is that really all it's about? It's about making racial jokes. Well, no, but it's a big part of it.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. She has to agree with that. It is a big part of it.
It's not about making racial jokes, right? It's a big part of it. It is definitely, you have to agree with that. It's about making edgy jokes to safety test to basically see if somebody else is chill, right? Which is why, like,
Where's
women
Neri?
can also be in that space.
Did
It's
you
just that
play
women
dead
are
arm
often
at
going to be a
school?
little bit.
Where someone just hits your arm. That's guys, winky face.
Oh yeah, but to be honest, I hated people that did that. I hated them so much. I'm like, why? Why are you giving me physical, like, trauma? Why do I need to suffer pain because of a stupid game? Like, I find that so annoying. Like, there was this one dude that used to. Actually, I'm not even gonna say that because, like, it was gross. It was gross and bad. And it's glad that he stopped doing that. But, like, I don't know why he thought that was, like, such a thing you could just continuously keep doing. It was so gross.
Where's Neri? There's always someone that takes it so seriously.
Yeah. And maybe I was one of those because I'm like, I don't know. I might be one of those, actually. Because, like, it'll be a dumb game, but then I'll take it serious because, like, I'm getting hurt. Like, what? I don't want to suffer pain for a stupid game. Like, I didn't want. It was annoying.
Less chill with, like, trolly edgy humor. Not
Where's
not
Neri?
inherently.
No,
It's
I
not
meant
biological.
really
This is all
hits.
social cultural, right?
Wait, what? Yeah, I'm talking about that too. Like, it's a game, but you physically actually hit the other person. And I thought that was stupid. But is that, like, I'm agreeing with that. Right? Am I not? I'm confused.
Is that typically when girls make edgy humor, we get punished for it, so we learn that it's bad. And then as we grow up in age, we internalize that and we come to believe that it is bad. And then
Where's
when we
Neri?
hear it from young men,
Yeah,
we
but you
say,
don't
"You're
normally
bad,"
do it full
'cause
fun.
I would be bad if I did that, so you're bad.
Oh, okay. So the people that were doing it full force, actually, yeah, okay. All right, I understand now.
Right. What men are doing with each other with edgy humor, I think, is a lot of, like, safety testing to basically be like, are you chill? But there's also this interesting thing that I think is kind of masculine in that, like, there's a certain masculine behavior of, like, walking right up to the line and touching your toe over it, right? That's very, very thrilling and entertaining. It's almost like thrill-seeking, but I feel like comparing it to bungee jumping doesn't seem quite right. I wonder if actually, potentially part of where this comes from... Okay. I have a theory. I have a hypothesis. It just came to me, okay? Just had this idea. But... my suspicion, I wonder how much the trolly, jokey, edgy stuff becomes reinforced in, like, socio-masculine spaces is because that's the main way that boys can get semi-enjoyable positive attention from adults if they're high externalizers, right? So, like, a high externalizer young boy is mostly going to be, like, throwing fits, bouncing out of his chair, his legs are going to be bobbing, it might be, like, breaking pencils and stuff, which is mostly going to get him sent to the office, it's going to get him sent to the room, it's going to lead to, like, very, like, that is, like, when people are like, kids attention seek even for, like, negative behavior. It's like, look, the kid isn't, like, fidgeting in a seat because he wants attention. He's fidgeting in a seat because he can't regulate anymore. He's like an 8-year-old who's overstimulated and now externalizing his distress, right? But you know what's such a common phenomenon is some little kid doing a little troll on you. Like, you'll be like, Emma, don't do that. And she'll be like, and you're like, Emma, don't touch the button. And she'll like, and she'll like fucking touch the button. I have a feeling that for young boys, that's one of the most common ways an externalizing boy will get some level of reinforcement, right? Where they like touch the button. They might get in trouble, but it's mostly gonna be like, Mikey, I told you not to do that. And then the boy will be like, you know, like run away and all of his friends will go along giggling with him, right? That's probably one of the main ways that externalizing young boys that are in some level of distress can actually achieve positive attention, which is probably why trolling humor becomes so popular. I could be totally wrong. I just came up with this on the spot, but honestly, I can see it.
It's a big part of it. And the reason why, so this, and it goes back to, this is something that I think is a primordial thing, and I could be wrong about this, but this is just my take on it, is that I think a lot of guys, the reason why they do that and they banter with each other is a primal desire and a primal, not even desire, but a, like kind of an inclination to test other men around them to see how these men will react to friction situations in order to test them as if they're worthy to like interact with or like to trust on like a battle or like in a fight, right? On instinct, right? Like this, it's like kind of like a test. Yeah, it's socially evolutionary. Yeah, I think so. And that's why I think guys banter with each other a lot and they say this stuff.
Just as I think it's super sociocultural. I think young externalizing boys have almost no means to get positive attention, and being little troll rat fucks can be one way that they get positive.
I feel like she agrees with Asmon, but just says really big words that kind of mean what Asmon is saying. Which I don't have an issue with. It's just nice to know the actual like words.
Attention.
It's a bro test? Yeah, exactly.
I say troll rat fucks with a lot of love in my heart, okay?
And like, well, I don't think women understand that in the same way. And I mean, I don't even think, I think a woman can understand it, but I don't think women do it in the same way because it's just not, it's not the way people have evolved. It's not that deep. Okay, well, I think it is. I think it is. And the reason why I think it is because the same type, like think about how many cultures that are completely independent of each other in ancient times had initiation rituals for men. I mean, this is very clearly a human behavior, right? So if you have so many of these points on a graph, you have to be able to draw at least a little bit of a line. And I'm not saying it's a one-to-one, but I think there is a correlation here.
Yeah,
good messaging is messaging that resonates with people's actual anxieties and lived experience.
I think initiation rituals is probably a little bit closer to things like hazing. But there is a lot of kind of like hazing that goes on in friendship groups with men that I have observed that does not occur in women. That is for sure. Like, damn, you guys are fucking mean to each other sometimes. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I like
guys are really mean to each other sometimes. Like the whole arm, the arm thing that we were just talking about.
Girls' form of I like girls' social tit for tat for safety. If this is actually, Zach is essentially saying like it's a safety behavior, figuring out like who's chill. I like the girls' social system of figuring out who's chill, which is basically like telling each other vulnerable stuff and then seeing if the other person will be like emotionally available to hear that stuff and reflect it well. Like essentially validate and understand your feelings. It's much easier. It's much nicer. I like it a lot more.
You know, I kind of agree with that, begrudgingly. Like, yeah, I would rather that than
Neri?
Punching people.
That sounds horrible.
Really? Are you being facetious? I don't know. I don't know. I would rather that, honestly. I would rather that than someone physically harming me, or at least pretending, or at least attempting to physically harm me. I don't know. I like that more.
Where's Neri? Hee hee.
Girls for the win here, okay?
right? And so, yeah, like the whatever podcast can resonate with men that are like incels or like struggling with women, right? Because a girl was mean to them or whatever, and they're able to project upon like those women which come on.
This is what's funny is that the girl in this is actually much more grounded than this guy. I think this guy is caricaturing everything. It's embarrassing.
Well, you are misunderstanding some of his jokes. But I actually agree. I think
that's a fair take on Asmon. I think Asmon is misunderstanding what he really means when he says that type of stuff. Like I think this guy actually does believe that what he's doing is an over exaggeration. Instead of like saying, oh no, this is an under exaggeration, even liberal people, like that's the interpretation that I thought. But like after listening to her and her calling out Asmongold's misunderstanding of this guy's point, I can kind of see that more.
If it turns out that guy isn't joking.
Yeah, the guy, well, I do see that he was joking when he said that in the beginning, but Asmon, I think the way that Asmon paused the video, talked about it, and then played it again, and forgetting some of the context of what he was saying before, and then what he said afterwards, I think Asmon kind of just missed that because of the way that he paused the video and then spoke about him before he was finished making his point, and then he finished making his point at the end of it, and kind of forgot what he said before, so... I could see how Asmon kind of like didn't really see it that way and saw it the other way. Like he wasn't joking.
Olivia does understand the situation better than Micah does.
It's
pro tip. Being part of a group doesn't mean you actually understand the functionalities of what causes that group to act in such a way.
Not just incels that watch that podcast.
The only people who understand groups are typically people who spend a lot of time thinking about that group.
I mean, I think some of them are, yeah, for sure. But that's not all there is to it.
Yeah, all women are like this. I feel better about myself. But there's all these other things that resonate probably more, which is like, man, shit's expensive, right? Man, I don't feel supported, right? Like, I don't feel like there's anywhere for me to go, right? I feel like if something bad happens to me, no one's there to support me. That's the thing that a lot of men deal with because men are a lot of times kind of put in the box of supporting other people, so no one's there to support themselves. And it's like, those are things that we can absolutely talk to. Actually, we could probably speak to better than the Republican Party.
Yeah, well, I think speaking to that is also understanding the mentality that they're
Obviously, you guys are doing a poor job at that, but okay.
coming from too. So another example is when you look at the polling, like what are the issues?
Stoicism has been the resounding male philosophy in almost all cultures for about 2,000 years.
I hate how almost everyone talks about Stoicism. I haven't heard Asmongold do it yet, so we'll see. I almost always hate it because, as per usual, the Brits came along, they saw Stoicism from a number of cultures. It didn't just emerge from the Greeks. There's a number of different practices of Stoicism. I think the Greeks is one of my favorites, but Musashi is a great example of emergent Stoicism as well as a philosophy through like literature. The Brits came along and they took it and they ruined it, just like they ruin everything that they take, except for tea, I guess, which they probably didn't take. Maybe they did. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
In one form or another.
I have no idea what she's talking about. Maybe there's some sort of history of Stoicism and why it's not good or whatever, but I don't know.
The solution to winning back men is not crucifying them and telling them that they need to go to therapy and everything like that. It is empowering them and giving them the tools to solve their problems.
Stoicism is not about not feeling your feelings or being a pussy. It's about loving your fate no matter what. Amor fati. Okay? True Stoics, if you read like Epictetus or Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, okay, yeah. I knew she was going to have like some sort of deeper understanding of that. I'm like... That's why I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to let her say whatever she's going to say. And maybe I'll agree with it or not. But yeah, I have no idea what she's talking about. And Asmon does not know what she's talking about either.
I highly recommend reading Epictetus first. He doesn't talk about this abandonment of emotion. He talks about and embracing it and doing anyways, right? Like, I am riddled with sadness and yet I continue, right? That like, no, the only thing I can truly control is myself, and therefore I take maximal ultimate responsibility, right? Like, Stoicism is not understood in the West at all anymore. And most people that talk about Stoicism will be like some of the least self-responsible, self-accountable people. Stoicism is maximal levels of self-accountability and self-responsibility and an embracement of feelings, but acknowledging that feelings are as fleeting as all other things. That essentially that all these things are passing along you like leaves upon a river. And your job as a Stoic is to observe these things, embrace these things, learn from them what you can, but to continue on the plodding path that is yours regardless. And to love your fate in the midst of it, right? Amor fati is like the the crushing guttural cry of the
Yeah, she's way deeper in this than anyone really necessarily needs to be. Well, I shouldn't say necessarily needs to be, but like I'm just gonna let her cook.
man as he like watches his family being slaughtered and like he's losing everything and he's like trying to find the will to fight back anyways. It's like amor fati, I love my fate anyways, because it has dropped me at the place I am now to be who I am and be doing what I am. That's what amor fati is. And I think even like old Epictetus I think goes too far, right? Epictetus talks in many ways about like be so distant from even like the suffering of like your wife and your children, so that even their lives can't affect you in such a way as to change your behavior or cause you misery, because essentially all you can control is yourself. And so even if they're in suffering, it shouldn't bring you misery. And if it does, you must like embrace it and accept it and be okay with it and continue on your path anyways. And I think that like that's probably too far. But that's stoicism. Stoicism is not just being like, I ain't a pussy. It's like, that's Victorian stoicism. And that shit's crap. Just like their food, it's garbage, okay?
So he is talking about stoicism, but it's just the bro, come on now. That's semantics. He's basically talking about it. Victorian story, like, come on, he just didn't add the first word to describe the actual thing. So fine, I guess that's a technicality, but like, okay.
If you look at, like, I mean, again, how many ancient cultures come to the same conclusion with this? The reason why society, and again, this is going to go back to biology. A lot of women, I've noticed this, and how many of you guys have seen this happen, where you made yourself vulnerable to a woman and she didn't feel the same way about you after that? I think this is a very, very, very common phenomenon. Extremely common.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah. Number one, some of the women that are doing that have some stuff. Because I think if a man is being genuinely vulnerable, most women I know do not find that to be a turnoff. Women will find certain things to be a turnoff, and that typically is when you are more feminine than you are masculine. So if you're not an overly masculine guy, and then you have lots of like insecurity issues, and you're like really anxious or something, that might give her the ick. Because women still to some degree seem to want a man who's more masculine than he is feminine. But a lot of women are totally fine with vulnerability. They're not if your vulnerability makes you more feminine than you are masculine. And then some women are part of this category that genuinely get the ick from it in all ways. And she's usually just got some baggage. Like that's not a healthy response for a woman if you're not doing this like imbalancing that's occurring.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Yeah, right, every time. Yeah, and that's the thing, the ick and everything like that. And
like when a guy says, every time I do this, a girl gets the ick, there's something going on for you as well, unfortunately. And I think that this is a genuine double standard that exists that is really shitty, that just sucks for men, where like essentially you have to be more masculine than you are feminine. So if you're not an overly masculine guy in a lot of ways, if you're too feminine in like neuroticism, for example, it's going to be a pretty big ick. But I think there's lots of ways to like increase your masculinity in like pretty like simple kind of like ways. So I don't know. It's not the best news.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's because women don't like men to do that. So don't listen to this kid say to do that, because women don't like that. I'm not saying never to be vulnerable around the girl, but I'm saying that that shouldn't be the goal. It shouldn't. The goal should not be to make the way that men approach these issues congruent with the way that women do.
Okay, I think that's fair enough. I think if you're like teaching men to approach all social stuff in the way that women do, I think that won't work. For a lot of reasons, because I think that like old sociocultural expectations of the scripts of gender is very, very baked in. And I think even the very liberal women, it's still very, very baked in. It's kind of a sexism towards men, essentially. The scripts and the expectations that they have. So that's fair. I think if that like becomes your thing, or like you're always relying on it, but also there's just a lot of women that are good. I think if your experience is every time, you're probably either selecting for pretty dominantly women with a lot of weird baggage that men's emotions turn them off to such a degree. If your emotions are like within the normal scale, your emotions might be like much bigger than she feels adequate to deal with, or more likely they're making you more feminine than you are masculine because you're not like masculine enough in other areas.
Do you want to be a woman? Yeah, men and women are different, and their roles in society are different. And again, like I've done.
This erudite person is really smart. She's being super fair. Like I don't disagree with that.
This graph.
There's definitely a balancing act with that.
What is this here? I've done this graph before, but if you look at all of human nature, all of human history, right? This is the primal ages, and this right here is now. What do you think the odds are that we have evolved to overcome all of this? Oh, that's right, 0. Literally 0.
That are the most important to young men. One of the top issues consistently is immigration. If you actually talk to a young guy...
Actually, I really appreciate when Asmon actually does like a little graph like that. It's fun. It's just fun. Destiny does the same thing. I should start doing this. Oh, wait, no, I do this sometimes.
Oh, that's right. Zero. Literally zero.
That are the most important to young men. One of the top issues consistently is immigration. If you actually talk to a young guy about how he feels about immigration, am I allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about immigration. It's this idea of scarcity and competition. Of if you're a young man in America, you are expected to go to college or go to a trade school, get a.
They absolutely care about competition because the illegals.
She was doing okay, I will say. She goes a little downhill from here.
The ones that are competing for the jobs that a lot of young men are trying to get. They're the ones that are the most affected by it. Low education.
Guys. Okay, you guys need to do me a favor. I need to get on with this Micah guy and basically like rebut in a loving way, in a loving, friendly Democrat way, some of these talking points. How do you guys think? He doesn't seem like he's got too big of a channel, so I could probably reach out to him. Wouldn't that be so good? Wonder if that would go viral. Also, since I'm doing a reaction to Asmongold, you guys should see if he'll react to mine, because if he reacts to mine, someone within this trifecta will engage with this, and maybe we can have better conversations about men and masculinity. Not that
I hope Asmongold reacts to this video.
think I'm the only one. I just think I'm right, just like everyone else.
And low-income people are the ones that are the most
because I think Asmon would agree with her 100% all the time. I think Asmon would agree. I think Asmon would agree.
Affected by these things. What are you talking about?
Certification, get a degree. Then you're expected to get a high-paying job. And then once you get your high-paying job, you're expected to find your wife and to buy a house and to have kids and to do all of these things.
Yes.
And if you don't do that, then you're a failure.
That's right.
Because you are the man and you are the provider.
That's
If you
right.
can't provide, then you're not actually a man. And so
that's true. That's true.
She's cooking.
We said the Republicans specifically, they set this expectation and then they make it almost impossible for young men to actually do those things, whether it's through not raising minimum wage, whether it's through the price of tuition going up, all these different things. And so what ends up happening is you have these young guys who they're working every single day. They're working on oil rigs. They're working at Amazon warehouses.
Oh, that's a very big. What are we talking about? That's a huge difference. The guys that are roughnecks in an oil rig are knocking down 200 grand.
Yeah.
Probably fucking more. Like, what do you mean?
Why is he mad?
Yeah, like they're making crazy money on that. Working on
he's mad because of the comparison. He's comparing an Amazon worker to a guy that's working, an Amazon worker that's working basically minimum wage to a guy that's working at an oil rig that's making at least $200,000 a year. Like, there is no comparison there.
Amazon fulfillment center for $50K a year is not the same as working on a fucking oil rig.
Yeah,
and
true.
also, I bet a lot of the guys that work on these oil rigs probably don't have a lot of problems with women because they're massively in shape. They're at peak performance of their entire life because that's what you have to be able to work on an oil rig.
Peak.
Yeah.
They're
Maybe they work 9 to 5 jobs
You know,
every single day, and they're
you know, as an Alberta girl, I gotta say, rig pigs, peak masculinity, especially if they play hockey. Oh boy.
Hey, well, is
Now they do
he
usually.
wrong? Or you're just memeing here? She's just memeing, so like, don't take this with any seriousness, I
Do
guess.
pretty well with women, just to be clear.
still not getting ahead.
Wait.
Oh boy. Now they do usually do pretty well with women, just to be clear.
Oh,
Still
okay.
not getting
So
ahead.
she agrees.
So then we force young men to make this decision of either you can blame yourself or you can blame others. And if you're a young guy,
Well, the problem is that, so here's the issue, is that men are incentivized and encouraged to blame themselves, whereas people of minority groups or different, like non-heteronormative sexualities and women are encouraged to blame society. And liberals support positions and platforms and systems that benefit those groups, but not men. So when you're a young man and you're having trouble making it, and then you see opportunities being provided for other people that are, let's say, gay or a woman, but you don't have those for yourself, how can you possibly expect to get a vote from that person? How can you possibly expect a person to vote for you if you have categorically and systematically denied them an opportunity based off of the consequences of their birth? Why would anybody vote for that?
True.
True.
Really? Why are we watching this? I find this to be very interesting, and I have a lot of opinions about this.
working 8 to 12 hours a day, if you're paying all your bills, you're doing everything you can, and you're still not getting ahead.
And the issue also is because I don't think that a lot of these people understand men's issues at all. They don't get them at all.
True.
We expect them to think that they're the problem. They're doing everything that they've been told to do their entire life.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that kind of little nagging, insecure voice in the back of the head, that's where Republicans really push through the ideology and get to young men, is because then they can convince them, well, this is the person whose fault it is. It's not your fault that you can't get ahead in America. It's the immigrants who are coming here. It's their fault because they're taking your high-paying jobs.
Ah.
Yep. That's it. They are. Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the issue.
Wait, is he saying the issue is that immigrants are taking their jobs? Immigrants are not taking the jobs that young men want, typically, right? Like, immigrants are taking illegal, unpaid, like, brutal labor jobs that nobody really wants to do. I just think that this is a bit of a misnomer.
Hey,
I think that
hey. I see that little. Listen to that again. That's a little deceptive.
Wait, is he saying the issue is that immigrants are taking their jobs? Immigrants are not taking the jobs that young men want, typically, right? Like immigrants are taking illegal, unpaid, like brutal labor jobs that nobody really wants to do.
Yeah. Asmon isn't saying that they're taking away jobs that men want to do. They're taking away jobs that people end up having to do because that's just the job that they have to do. Like, there's more people have jobs that they don't want to do than people that actually enjoy their jobs. Like, I would think the ratio of people liking the job that they do versus people that don't like the job that they're doing, I don't think that's a 50-50 right there. I think it's more like 20% of the people that do the very hard labor work actually like their job. And then the 80% of people that actually work, they're probably working. Like, I think most people are working to live instead of living to work. Because the common trope is that people hate their jobs. Like, the common trope is not like, oh, everyone loves their job. Like, that there's more of a general, or maybe that's just my anecdotal experience of that, I guess.
I just think that this is a bit of a misnomer. I think that when men are frustrated around immigration issues.
But like, I think that was a little bit manipulative because Asmon wasn't like, listen to what Asmon says.
It's because then they can convince them, well,
Yep.
Oh,
because they're taking your high paying jobs.
Right. Yep. That's it. They are.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I see why she said that, because she specifically says high paying jobs, and now she's going to harp on the. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Asmon is specifically talking about high paying jobs when she said it, but like the overall jobs taking thing, not just whether it's high paying, like the semantical difference between high paying and low paying. Like, it's the whole point is that they're taking away all like different types of jobs, whether it be high paying or low paying. I guess there's a substantive difference there, but I don't think that's like the main point of why Asmon is agreeing with this.
It's the whole point. That's the issue.
Wait, is he saying the issue is that immigrants are taking their jobs?
Yeah,
immigrants are not taking the jobs that young men want, typically, right? Like, immigrants are taking illegal, unpaid, like brutal labor jobs that nobody really wants to do. I just think that this is a bit of a misnomer.
All right.
I think that when men are frustrated around immigration,
that's a bit more fair when I listen to it a little bit more. Minnesota. What happened with Minnesota? What? Wait, we got to do a sidetrack thing. We gotta do a sidetrack thing. State lawmaker killed, potentially motivated assassination. Governor Tim Walz. Wait, what? What happened? 21 minutes ago.
I just saw it in the news.
What's going? Breaking news. It's almost like when we were watching the whole inauguration thing, and then Destiny's whole Pixie thing dropped live, and I was and then Wick was covering that, and I was like, oh, damn, I didn't know what was going on. So we're gonna do a nice little sidetrack, go into this. Killed in another. All right, let's see the most biased thing that we could possibly bring. Okay. So I don't feel like reading all that, so we're just going to throw it into here. Enter.
A prominent Democratic state lawmaker in Minnesota and her husband have been killed in a politically motivated shooting, and another Democratic state lawmaker and his wife were shot in the early hours of Saturday. Democratic State Representative Melissa Hordman has died, as has her husband, Mark, the state's governor, Tim Walz, confirmed at a press conference on Saturday. He said the shooting appears to be a politically motivated assassination. Hordman was the top Democrat in the Minnesota House and the former Speaker. The gunman is still at large, law enforcement said on Saturday, and the city of Brooklyn Park still on a shelter-in-place order. The shooter was impersonating a police officer, dressed in a uniform that would appear to be real to most people, police said. They did drive a vehicle that looked exactly like an SUV squad car, Brooklyn Park's police chief, Mark Bruley, said at a press conference. It was equipped with lights, emergency lights, that looked exactly like a police vehicle, and yes, they were wearing a vest with taser, other equipment, a badge very similar to mine, that no question, if they were in this room, you would assume that they are a police officer. The man had a list of other lawmakers and officials in the...
Wait a second, but we're just going to assume that this is some... The way that they're describing this guy, it's like he's not a police officer, but he...
Damn.
Yeah, the way, but the thing that's kind of interesting, I'm gonna read a little bit more, but it's kind of like it's a police, but why are they saying it like this? Like, obviously he wasn't a police officer, but he looked exactly like one. Like, either this guy did like a...
Condolences to their family and friends.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Vehicle police searched, and alerts were sent out to take action and provide security to others, Bruley said. There was a list of individuals, and the individuals that were targeted in this situation were on that list, said Drew Evans, the superintendent of the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. He added that it was far too early in the investigation to provide a motive or assess whether the victims were targeted for their political affiliation, but that he believes the state will be able to provide more information on the motivation behind the attacks as the investigation unfolds. We're here today because an unspeakable tragedy has unfolded in Minnesota, Wall said.
Yep.
My good friend and colleague, Speaker Melissa Hortman, and her husband, Mark, were shot and killed early this morning in what appears to be a politically motivated assassination. Our state lost a great leader, and I lost the dearest of friends. He added that Hortman was someone who served the people of Minnesota with grace, compassion, humor, and a sense of service. She was a formidable public servant, a fixture and a giant in Minnesota. She woke up every day determined to make this state a better place. She is irreplaceable. Democratic State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, were both shot multiple times and are out of surgery, and Walls said he was cautiously optimistic both will survive. This was an act of targeted political violence, Walls said. Peaceful discourse is the foundation of our democracy. We don't settle our differences with violence or at gunpoint. At about 2 a.m. local time, police received a call in Champlin, a suburb of Minneapolis, that Hoffman and his wife had been shot, Evans said.
Yeah, he's gonna say it's political. Tim Walz. I mean, it could have been. So when the information comes out where it actually wasn't politically motivated, Tim Walz is going to get annihilated when he says for speaking out of turn, basically.
Police in Champlin responded to that location, and police in a nearby suburb, Brooklyn Park, assisted. Police in Brooklyn Park went to Hortman's house at about 3:30 a.m. to check on her, given the nearby shooting of Hoffman. Upon arrival at Hortman's house, officers saw a supposed police vehicle in the driveway with emergency lights on and what appeared to be an officer coming out of the house, Bruley said. The gunman, impersonating an officer, immediately fired at him, and then was able to escape out the back of the house, Bruley said. This is somebody that clearly had been impersonating a police officer, again, using the trust of this badge and this uniform to manipulate their way into the home, Bruley said. Police found a man with gunshot wounds.
That's wild, though. Okay, so that's why they're saying that this guy could be... Wow, that's wild. Okay.
Hortman's husband, and administered first aid, but he was pronounced dead shortly after. Officers then used a drone to identify the female, Hortman, in the home. Local, state and national law enforcement are now hunting for the gunman, Evans said. Bruley advised people in the area to call into the police department if an officer arrives to ensure the officer belongs there, which dispatch would be able to confirm. Officers are approaching people in pairs of 2 officers as the search continues, he said, so if there is a single officer outside your door, do not answer. Police had detained several people for questioning, but did not have anyone in custody at the time, Bruley said.
That is some scary stuff. That is some very, very scary stuff. You can't even trust the police, because this guy... Damn. That is scary. That is actually very scary, because, like, you can't even trust the police officer. Like, how do you know that this is the police officer you're supposed to be able to trust? Ooh.
Bob Jacobson, the commissioner of the state's Department of Public Safety.
This is why it's a very, very, very big deal for you should never impersonate a police officer, because that just throws distrust to every person that's a police. Like, it's like plausible deniability for like distrusting the government, essentially, because like, and that's why it's a massive crime. That's why, don't impersonate police officers. It's a very bad crime. they probably should make that a very, very... They should probably elevate that from like maybe a felony to like... I mean, actually, no, felonies are... They're like the highest of the highest.
Said there was increased security in place for elected officials and others who may be at risk. This is a dark day today for Minnesota and for democracy, Jacobson said. We will not allow fear or violence to define who we are or how we move forward. We will stand together. We will stand strong. These are public servants, leaders who committed their lives to improving the lives of others, and they were targeted in a violent and cowardly way. Minnesota's House of Representatives was evenly split between Republicans and Democrats. Democrats have a one-vote majority in the state Senate. Protests against the Trump administration are set for midday at the Minnesota State Capitol and around the country. Colonel Christina Bogojevich of the Minnesota State Patrol said her agency will work with state and local partners to provide security and safety for the demonstration, but was not able to discuss specifics.
All right.
Trump said in a statement that he had been briefed on the shootings, which appear to be a targeted attack against state lawmakers. The U.S. Attorney General, Pam Bondi, said the FBI is investigating and will prosecute anyone involved to the fullest extent of the law. Such horrific violence will not be tolerated in the United States of America, she said. God bless the great people of Minnesota, a truly great place. Quote, the shootings took place at a time when political violence has become more commonplace in the U.S., though the vast majority of Americans do not support it, according to a University of Chicago survey.
Why you rely on the Guardian, not below. Wait, why you can rely on the Guardian not to bow to Trump or anyone? Wait, hold up. Is this like a bias piece or something? Hold up. Let's copy this and like, what is this?
I hope you appreciated this article. Before you move on, I wanted to ask whether you could support the Guardian's journalism as we face the unprecedented challenges of covering this administration. As Trump himself observed, the first term, everybody was fighting me.
Bro. Okay, alright, let's keep going.
In this term, everybody wants to be my friend. He's not entirely wrong. Already, several large corporate-owned news organizations have settled multi-million-dollar lawsuits with the president in order to protect their business interests. Meanwhile, billionaires have intervened editorially in the news outlets they own to limit potentially unfavorable coverage of the president. The Guardian is different. We have no interest in being Donald Trump's, or any politician's, friend. Our allegiance as independent journalists is not to those in power but to the public. Whatever happens in the coming months and years, you can rely on the Guardian never to bow down to power, nor back down from truth. How are we able to stand firm in the face of intimidation and threats? As journalists say, follow the money. The Guardian has neither a self-interested billionaire owner nor profit-seeking corporate henchman pressuring us to appease the rich and powerful. We are funded by our readers and owned by the Scott Trust, whose only financial obligation is to preserve our journalistic mission in perpetuity. What's more, in a time of rising, democracy threatening misinformation, we make our fiercely independent journalism free to all, with no paywall, so that everyone in...
I wonder if the Guardian is actually, like, this is just their opinion part for, like, oh, why you can rely on the Guardian and not bow to Trump. Anyone. Or anyone. Like, I like how Trump was the one that's here, or anyone, as if, like, I want to see, did they actually put this in piece of information when they're talking about Biden and something going on with that herded conservatives, like any of the conservative like assassinations towards people? Like, I wonder if they had the same. Wait, actually, let's look that up. The Guardian, Trump's assassination. Assassination. Let's see. Let's see. Did they have that? Oh, hold up. This seems like something that just automatically just populates on every single article. Let's see. Let's just do another random thing. Yeah. Yeah, this is just something that just randomly pops up on every single one of their thing. Yep. Yep. All right. Good one, Guardian. Good one. Kings under protest loom over Trump's military pride, whatever. Oh, the Guardian. Oh, why you should trust the Guardian. Oh, it's just their ad for people to give them a monthly subscription or whatever. Just once with $1. Okay. Obviously, I want to know when did they implement this ad? Obviously, when Trump came into office, probably. But like, if you were pre-2025, I bet this thing wouldn't pop up in every single article, like just automatically. Or maybe they've been doing this. Let's see. Let's ask Grok. How long has The Guardian been putting their subscription at the bottom of every single article that they make? Question mark. News web sites. All right, now while that's thinking, I guess we'll get back to what we were doing before, but that was an interesting sidetrack.
Issues, I just don't think it's a very emergent prospect of their masculinity. I could be wrong, though. Could be wrong.
Yeah, hear no lies. Yeah, it's obvious.
Right, and this hits on something that's so true. It's not that people are intrinsically prejudiced against immigrants. I mean,
certainly taking houses too. I think that's another factor as well.
Some people are, but most people are not.
It's really tough because I agree that there's an immigration crisis, and so did the Democrats. They tried to pass a bill. It was an amazing bill. It was the most significant. It was a bipartisan bill that would change almost 40 years of precedent. Joe Biden and his cabinet did it. It was bipartisan. It was with Republicans. It was great. It increased staffing at the border. It changed asylum seeking, which is the main way that people get in. It's because asylum seeking is very loose, and it was going to update that. And the Republicans shut it down. This is annoying. Housing isn't a problem because of immigrants. It is to some degree, but housing is mostly an issue because we're not building enough housing. More people needing houses isn't the problem. It's the problem that we're not building the houses, right? That's dominantly the issue. And our obsession with single-family homes, right? Because building is such a prospect, right? If apartments were more enjoyable and built in such a way that they were enjoyable to live in and accessible, more people would probably happily live in apartments and build them. But nobody wants to build apartments because of the massive cost of building it initially with less of the guarantee, and almost all apartments.
No, apartments are just very expensive. You don't keep the apartment for the price. If apartments were cheaper than literally a mortgage, then I mean, inherently it's supposed to be, but apartments, I don't see there's one studio apartments that cost over $1,000, $2,000. That's insane. I will never rent for over $2,000. Heck, I wouldn't even rent over $1,000. So but depending on your area, if you live in a big city, then yes, it's going to be hella expensive. But if you live maybe renting in in more rural or less attractive areas would be less than $1,000. But I mean, maybe I think I'm just biased because of my location, but yeah.
Apartments are rent controlled, or not rent controlled, are rented instead of owned. And there's just a lot of limits of having obnoxious neighbors and stuff like that. But I think in general, if people move towards either just smaller properties, or moved away from single family households, I think that would probably be the best type of living circumstance. Sweden has a couple of really unique models of intergenerational, living communes essentially, for low income that are really, really cool. I think in general, when we look at housing, there are so many problems with it, with both the culture of single family homes, but also just the complete lack of building that is occurring. Again, check out Ezra Klein if you want more information on housing. Blaming it on immigration, especially in America, not really the strongest argument. The issue with immigration is fundamentally being flooded with asylum seekers that are not allowed to work unless they do so illegally, and then no judge staff to process them and send them out or accept them in and give them an SSN so that they can work legally. But we have there's tons and tons of jobs. There's not this, yeah. It's not that they're taking your jobs.
Critical mass of Americans that say they care about immigration or not.
Wait, what?
Or intrinsically prejudiced, and this hits on something that's so true. It's not that people are intrinsically prejudiced against immigrants. I mean, certainly some people are, But most people are not. The critical mass of Americans that say
Well, this is another thing that they shoot themselves in the foot with, because they constantly try to muddy the waters between illegal immigration and legal immigration. I think that the majority of people, like a super majority of people, are okay with legal migration and legal immigration at a limited scale, especially when it's done based off of skill sets and a person's ability to assimilate into the culture, right?
Oh, pro tip, if you want to like talk about like skill sets, H-1Bs and whatnot can be some of the most nightmarish things to get. In fact, as a Canadian who has immigrated here recently, immigration through the legal system is obnoxious if you were a skilled laborer, because the areas in which you can even have an H-1B can be very limiting. For example, if you want to immigrate here for anything in social media, good fucking luck, because you have to have a degree in the industry you're moving into, which nobody has a degree in YouTube. But basically for most YouTubers, they have to come as O visas, which is like a celebrity visa, which most people can't achieve. Most people have an issue with illegal immigrants. The issue is that most illegal immigrants aren't like smuggling themselves across the border with coyotes. Most of them are asylum seekers who extend their asylum stay, but part of why they extend their asylum stay is because there are not enough judges and court workers to get them through the court system quickly enough. And then they
maybe Biden should have kept the remain in Mexico, though. So because we have such a limited capacity, they will remain in Mexico until they get their court case, if that's like the big issue here. But I guess we just forget that Biden literally deleted that when he came into office in 2021, yeah.
End up working illegally because they can't work while they're asylum seeking. You're not allowed to work in America unless you have certain like work permits and visas, right?
Like, we're all pretty much fans of that. I mean, some people aren't, right? They might want an ethnocentric country, but I think that's a minority. But also the majority of people are consequently also completely against mass illegal migration. That's a huge, that's the big issue. And these two things are very different.
True.
Immigration or not. It's that Republican.
I just don't know if it has anything to do with like young men. I think she's like semi-right in saying like young men aren't really thinking about immigration. But if you ask them about immigration, they're probably like, yeah, I think like having lots of illegals in is probably not good.
Have made immigration an economic issue. They made it an everything issue.
Well, it is. It's obviously an issue. Like, it 100% is.
They point to immigrants and they say, these are the people that are taking away your livelihood, the safety of your family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And like, that's a lie. It's a vicious lie, but it's a lie that you can.
Why is it a lie? Is it ever explained why it's a lie? No, it's not.
Typically because most of the crime that's done in America are not done by illegals. In fact, even illegals are less likely to do crime than any other citizen. And legal or asylum seeking, so people who are still in the process of being processed as asylum seekers, are also some of the least likely population to do the crime. So they're not. It's not true because illegals are not doing crime, other than being illegal, right?
Oh well. Wait, so it's not a lie because they are doing something that's a crime by being illegal. Yes, that's true. Wait, let me go back to listen to that like one more time.
Like, I think
lots of illegals in is probably not good.
Have made immigration an economic issue. They made it an everything issue.
Well, it is. It's obviously an issue. Like, it 100% is.
They point to immigrants and they say, these are the people that are taking away your livelihood, the safety of your family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And like, that's a lie. It's a vicious lie, but it's a lie that you can.
Why is it a lie? Is it ever explained why it's a lie? No, it's not.
Typically because
okay, so she's not even answering the question that he's saying that's a lie. Like the lie is that they're coming in and taking away the jobs. Like the guy said that's actually a lie. That's not actually going on. And that's what Asmongold is saying. Okay, so why is that a lie? How is that not true?
Because most of the crime that's done in America are not done by illegals. In fact, even illegals.
Oh, but she's talking about crimes and stuff where Asmon isn't even talking about. Yeah, she's talking about something different.
Are less likely to do crime than any other citizen, and legal or asylum seeking, so people who are still in the process of being processed as asylum seekers, are also some of the least likely population to do the crime. So they're not. It's not true because illegals are not doing crime.
Like Asmon doesn't have the issue with the crime part. The lie, Asmon has an issue with how is it a lie that they're not actually taking away the jobs. That's the problem that Asmon is having, but she's going off on something different.
Other than being illegal, right? So you're like 100%. But when we say crime, we mean functionally crime. We mean like stealing, beating people up, like doing crime that we care about in the living in your neighborhood kind of way, right? Like if you found out somebody was here illegally in your neighborhood, you'd probably be like, well, that's not good, but you wouldn't be like worried about your safety. If you found out somebody was like beating everyone up on the street, that's the kind of crime that we're worried about. And in that case, it's not really asylum seekers who are doing this. It's not even illegals that are doing this. The issue that we have with illegals is that they're here illegally. And we don't want them here illegally because they undercut low wage workers, which I suppose a lot of low wage workers are men. I wonder if it's young men though, disproportionately, like doing like really menial low paying jobs. I wonder how much is like older men. It is definitely men though. They're probably doing that.
Have to understand people leaving if they have no other explanations offered to them. And I think there's something else about this that's really insightful. It's men are.
I don't understand the logic that people like this use, because I'm sure this guy would be one of the first people to accuse these companies of trying to save every dollar possible and being as exploitative as possible towards the labor force and how bad these employers are, and probably criticize capitalism as like a meta thing. So like, how is it that you can have all of these viewpoints and think all of these negative things about capitalism and the way that business owners make decisions, but the idea that business owners will never make decisions to hire somebody who has less collateral and less negotiating and bargaining power in employment, this is unthinkable. How is it that you can come to the conclusion that these people
True.
are greedy and selfish in every single other regard, but they wouldn't be greedy and selfish in this one regard?
Well, if you're being an internally consistent leftist who agrees with all these things and has some level of like thought to your brain, you would essentially respond to that by saying, really big, large corporations are constantly being audited and looked at by the IRS and other major institutions, so they are not going to risk their skin by hiring illegals. They will hire H-1B visas. Pretty simple. The people who are hiring illegals is typically, oftentimes, it's immigrants from those same countries who got here legally, started a business, and then they hire their family and friends who who are typically asylum seekers to work illegally for them for less than they are worth. Right? That's typically what's actually happening. Is an immigrant owner.
I agree.
Is family, friends, probably speaks the same language, might come from the same country, is connected through community to some of these people, and hires asylum seekers under the table so that they can pay them cheaper, typically in areas like construction and like simple domestic labor that's going to be eyed a little bit less closely because it's a smaller business. That's like typically where you're seeing more of that like illegal stuff. Like in Canada, for example, we actually had a problem with illegal workers. It was crazy. We would bring up tourists from Mexico, and then they would work on like fruit farms all year. And so like a whole bunch of young college students couldn't work at fruit farms anymore because they were constantly filled by illegals, and the illegals were essentially visiting and paid under the table like $5 an hour. It was fucking crazy. So that's typically what people are worried about when it comes to like, that's typically who's hiring it. But it's not going to be like mega firms like Walmart. Like Walmart's not hiring a bunch of illegals. And
yeah, Walmart wouldn't risk that. That makes sense.
They are at all, it's probably not known to like the general manager. It might be like a night shift manager who's like bringing in people at night, smuggling them in to do like some like warehousing stuff and paying them like off the table. But even then, I'd be dubious if Walmart's ever allowing that, because Walmart's just going to get fucking obliterated with fines if they do that. They're not going to. They're not likely to do that. Like I said,
it's complete logical jump.
That's what the logical leftists would say. But I shouldn't even be making arguments for them, because leftists just think capitalism bad.
And it's insane.
Yeah,
whatever.
that is true.
But don't want slaves. Yes,
exactly. Fuck that. I'm not making their arguments for them.
They hate big companies. People hate getting taken advantage of. Yeah, I think so. Pay Americans the money they deserve, wages raised along with prices if inflation is defeated. Well, I don't know about. I don't think it's that simple. But like in general, do you guys see kind of what I'm saying here is like the dissonance with this is that like all of these corporations and all of these like business owners and these rich 1% people are evil and bad and they'll do anything to take advantage of people. But somehow like the idea that they're taking advantage of illegal immigrants and people on H-1 visas, because also like if you're on because you
looking for an explanation about why things kind of suck in their lives, right? And so if you look at a lot of the content that men like watch.
Wait, why'd you skip through all of his stuff? Like he was cooking.
Well, some of it's, just right-wing content. A lot of it's like self-help stuff, right? Like who's the most into self-help? It's
you need to stop being a simp. Fucking based Dr. K.
True.
Yep.
It's your mind. It's your thought process. That's the reason why things suck, right? And some people are even always eager to blame someone else. They're just eager to have an explanation, a solution to the suffering they're facing in their lives.
Yeah, men are so desperate. They are literally willing for anything. In fact, they're not just looking to blame society. And in fact, when they do, typically everyone, including Republicans, just kind of cringe at them because nobody cares.
Well, the issue is that, and this is another problem, is that if somebody had said this about minorities or women or another form of what this person probably perceives as a disenfranchised group of people, they would say, oh no, these actually are structural reasons and there is a reason. So this is, again, another double standard of what's happening again.
Depth conversation a few weeks ago with some other content creators where I was talking about the messaging that the Democratic Party uses so often. And we talk about, diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI.
And I
think we've kind of fallen into this trap is we have made the party exclusive by trying to make it inclusive. And what I mean...
She's right.
Okay, he likes that.
Yeah, she's right.
What I mean by that is every room we walk into, the messaging that we're using is different. Every single one of them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the wrong way to go about it. I think we should have one specific, this is the message we use on this.
Yeah, like code switching. Like you go into one room and you speak a certain way because you're trying to appease this certain group of people. And then when you go to another room, you sound a different way just to appease that other type of person. It basically seems like you're trying to be, you're just manipulating people into voting for you. Like you don't actually care about them. You only want their votes. Like be real. Be real. Like Trump's it's the reason why people hate normal politicians and why everyone says that Trump is not a typical politician, because he's not going to Trump isn't going to change the way that he speaks to appease a certain group of people. He's going to say it exactly the same way he's going to say it to every other person. Like, he's crude and crass, and people was fed up with all the whole changing the way that, like, being fake. Like, Trump wasn't fake. A lot of people in the Democratic Party, Kamala, she seemed fake. She seemed fake. Like, disingenuous. Like, she was only saying certain things just to get votes. Like, she didn't really seem like she cared.
Issue, because people are going to interpret that message however they want to interpret it. Everyone has their own form of cultural competency. So, and I think with Trump in particular is they kind of just say the same thing over and over again.
He does.
And if they ever change their opinion on it, they just say it with so much confidence that it's hard.
Bro, this poor woman has been so done wrong by in the coverage of this. Like, she's mostly the one cooking. I don't think she's right like 100% of the way, but she's like at least making a genuine attempt to understand men, and has somebody who's been, oh my god, talking to so many fucking Democrat staffers and funders. Holy shit. She is slightly direct. She is much more directly understanding of men than like most people. And she's not well loved for this, by the way, on the left necessarily. And she is getting
Oh, on the left. Okay, so she's talking about all the shitting that the left is doing against her. Okay, because I'm like, wait, why is she going off on this? Like, Asmon actually agrees with her perfectly, but she's getting all bent out of shape right now. But it's not because of what Asmongold is going to say to her. It's what the people on the left are saying to that woman. And yeah, okay, I can understand that, because she's literally on the left.
shit on. And the reason, let's be honest, why she's getting shit on is she's an unattractive fat chick. Like, that's a big part of it. Like, people are just think she's gross and ugly. Because she's kind of cooking here multiple times. She's been off a few times. I'm like, she's like, it's not about masculinity. It's about, like, economic stability. And I'm like, it's also about masculinity. Like, it really is about boys. It is really about, like, the prototypical male experience. It really is about that as well. Economic stability would also be great. But she's been mostly cooking. And she's just getting, like, libs of TikTok covered it. Like, she was getting shit. I was seeing her, like, people talk about her on Twitter, and they were being fucking nasty. Like, this is the face. This is the face. And I'm like, I get it. She's fat. You think she's ugly. We get it. Like, we fucking get it. Because there's no way you'd be making that tweet or those thumbnails if she was some super hot chick. You'd be like, this is the face of Dems understanding men. And men would be like, okay. She was a baddie, though. Like, you know, that's the face for Dems. Baby, I vote Dem now, baby. Let's go. Okay.
Hard to convince people that that's not what they meant. So for us, I think it's just, we should just be saying the same thing about the same issue over and over and over again. And
she's right about that. That's what Bernie Sanders does, and it resonated really well with people. That's true.
Voters decide what it means through their own cultural lens instead of telling them specifically what we mean every single time.
Right. Well, we didn't need to make fun of her weight. I know a lot of people have they want to make fun of it. It's not the problem. I don't care about this.
Based Asmongold. Let's
there we go.
I mean, she's not on here normalizing being overweight or saying being fat is a good thing. Like, there's no reason to, like, I don't care about that.
The issue is it looks like you're pandering. You don't seem genuine whenever you're saying something different in two different rooms with different demographics in them. Even if you are being genuine. But
see, this is how easy it is to moderate your chat. The moment Asmongold said that, his chat shifted energy immediately. Like, it is everyone who's got like a horrifically toxic chat. Look, there are some things you can't control. There are always going to be schizzos and everything. But if your chat is just kind of fucking horrible to most people most of the time, that's your fault as a content creator. It really is.
It's just not, right? Like,
of course, you're changing your accent, like code switching. Yeah.
Kamala Harris's agenda for black men. I don't think that really went anywhere.
No.
Because it just seems so kind of contrived. It seems so
Well, also, it was just so,
yeah, no, you guys aren't getting audio. I hate this computer right now. I want it to die. Not actually, because it's expensive, but you can cut this out, right? So like, okay.
Right, throughout these claims, like, well, what are you doing for this group? And we'll have these long-winded like explanations with these details and these figures, and then we can go out and talk about someone blue in the face. But at that point, the conversation's already moved on because they didn't actually care about the answer; they cared about how they felt about the answer.
True.
And so I feel like we just get into these specifics so frequently that frankly, like, people just don't care.
Oh, we need simple ideas that you articulate all the time, right? It's like, for instance, build more housing, right? And somebody says, why does that benefit this group? It's like, well, do you live in housing? Like, there's some big economic issues that hit everybody. Affordability is one of the most central ones, and that's something that we should champion. And the good news is, it helps everyone. Right? It's not just good policy all the time, but it's also like, you don't need to have different messages for different groups. In large part because there isn't different policy solutions for different groups. Like, targeted policies are usually ones that are kind of watered down, right? They're kind of less, like increasing funding for specific grant programs for certain race.
I don't know. I don't care about any of this shit. I don't care. I don't care about Democrat. I don't care.
Bad.
All right. So the video's basically done. What is she going to say?
Well, we've had that. It's not great. It's racially based and it's bad. And you're never going to, like, for me, this is a single issue voter thing for me, is that I will never vote for a person that would disenfranchise me or deny me an opportunity or give another person an opportunity above me based off of the nature of my skin color or my ethnicity or anything about me, my gender, my sexuality. So if you support that, I will vote against you. One issue thing.
Okay. I think that's enough. You guys got my takes. I hope you guys enjoyed some of the neurodevelopmental stuff. If you have any questions, post it below. And remember, if you enjoy my stuff.
Okay. All right. That's basically it. All right. Well, I'm gonna end it here a little early because there's a couple of things that I need to do. So yeah, thanks for watching. I guess I can turn this back on. Yeah. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, the channel update, I'm gonna be debating Destiny for real in real life. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. I might get humiliated. Actually, no, I won't. I will get humiliated. My brother said that, so and I kind of second that opinion. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be nerve-wracking because I'm gonna be live in front of a ton of people. I mean, I do it, but like I don't see you guys. I just look at a camera, and then people might watch them, they might not. But having actual people, stage fright. Oh, I'm gonna have like butterflies in my stomach. It's gonna be terrible. I'm gonna have to break the ice somehow. But like, I really wanted to talk to Destiny, so yeah, that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna fly over there. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys. See you guys later, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.